3, 2, 1.
Yeah, willing to die for what I'm living for. And if you didn't get it, go and live some more. I'ma run it up, gotta get some more, we ain't done enough. Can't fake or imitate, short grass so no snakes get in the way. John Madden called me, I got the play. In the maze, you gotta find a way. Or make one, living for the future, not yesterday. Wanna be great, do what it takes. Willing to rise for the right reasons. And you can't kick us out cause we not leaving. Bring all my flowers while I'm still breathing. Made a promise every day gon' be my season. Wanna sleep on greatness, better keep dreaming. Hall of Fame need to name this for one reason. I'm a legend. I'm a legend.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I am joined in the studio in the Ward Radio Warship, the Wigwam, by a killer cast of none other than Brittany the Shadow, as well as Jonah Barnes, the Associate Professor of All Things Apocryphal, and a special guest with us today. You guys may know him as Coriantimer's Pachyderm, also known as Ether's Elephant on YouTube. He's a real doctor of, what's your doctorate in, my man?
It's called biomedical informatics.
Biomedical informatics.
No, that sounds made up.
So he helps Big Pharma overprescribe prescription drugs that only get rid of symptoms, never curing diseases, so capitalism can suck you dry. No, I'm just kidding.
He was just recently axed by RFK Jr., and so now he's on our podcast.
He's looking for a full-time job after a very unpleasant interaction with the Kennedys. That's funny. So anyway, sorry, I didn't have your microphone on, babe. I apologize.
Every time.
I know.
This is so sexist.
Yeah, for real. So anyway, we invited him on the show because we needed a real statistician to help us interpret the data of a survey that's floating around.
Oh, a survey? What's this new survey?
Yeah. Actually, why don't you just tell us what we are doing today, Jonah? You're the one that brought this to our attention. Oh, Brad Whitbeck brought it to our attention as well. Tell us what's going on, my
dude.
man.
I'm psyched. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because this is so. If for those who are not aware, John Dehlin got his freaking doctorate. Pardon my French. Got his doctorate by sending out not a joke, an online survey like to his chums, and they all like said a bunch of nasty stuff about the church, and he's like, boom, scholar, PhD.
By the way, from what university? Like, I still can't believe there was a university that gave a doctorate based off of an internet survey.
Utah State. Utah State University.
Now, yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, when I found out that they gave him his doctorate, I kind of, in my mind, that university lost a little bit of credibility.
Yeah, you
think? I've looked at his research, and it's like, yikes.
No, you think?
In my opinion.
Yeah, so Ether's Elephant did an awesome little dive into his original dissertation. And I mean, and you barely scratched the surface. Like you were like, here's the big problem. I mean, it was great. It was well done.
So his dissertation is made up of a few different papers that he's published. I think you can read all about it on his website. He's very proud of his research. I think there's a whole tab there.
He mentions it all the time.
He mentions it all the time in his podcasts, if you've ever watched.
Yes, I'd like fries with that. Now, do you know that I got a PhD?
Exactly.
It's Dr. John Dehlin.
I'm Dr. John Dehlin.
Yeah.
But he shared. Now I lost my train of thought. No, okay. So his dissertation is made up from a few different papers that were published based off of this survey, essentially, that he sent out. And the video I made is breaking down one of those papers. And I'm trying to make it entertaining, so I do cut out the boring parts, and I left in the biggest, the best, the meat. So, but point is, even with all that, I think there's a lot of reasons to doubt what he's doing. In the least, you have to doubt how he interprets his own research. He's very high on it, and he's always talking about how he's essentially talking about how groundbreaking it is when it's not.
I mean, in his research, just for example, it's like 50% say this and 50% say that. So obviously this 50% is completely correct.
Well, I just got to tell you, if somebody came to BYU, as much as I think that 90% of the invocation of climate change is just socialist, communist, proto-cultural Marxist garbage in order to Trojan horse the worst of secular ideas into a Judeo-Christian culture. If some if Barron Trump applied to BYU and to my department and said like, yeah, I want to, my dissertation's going to be on like climate change as a hoax, I'd be like, okay, like I get where you're coming from, but you're not going to pull that one off, pal. You know,
the spirit is there, but I don't know.
Yeah, just like what 8 people could get together and hate the church so much that they could pass this off as science? It's
so
you don't
bad.
get an internet survey, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, and say like 95% of conservatives
Shocking findings.
agree with the sentence "climate change is a hoax, therefore it's not real. Give me my PhD."
Oh, and it was so much worse. Anyways, go watch Ether Elephants. It's so bad. But for you tonight, we've got a brand new survey from John Dehlin,
Dude.
that he created like yesterday and sent this sucker out to his buddies again.
I haven't seen this yet. Full disclosure. Have you read them all already?
It is delicious.
Okay, I have not seen this yet.
Why?
I have
Shot
so many
coffee
questions.
out of my nose. I read the first question. I shot coffee out of my nose. I don't even drink coffee. And it came shooting out of my nose. It is the most hilariously cartoonish, awful thing you've ever read. So I'm so excited.
Wait, but what's the point of this news survey? Why did he send out another survey?
We'll have to find out.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he has another groundbreaking paper that he's going to publish. Maybe he's getting another PhD.
Let me guess. Let me guess. He's trying to do the informed consent angle. Where basically, unless you've been told the cultural Marxist version of history, you never actually got informed consent. You know what I'm saying?
It's.
Are we
plays
certain
right.
this is him? How
well,
positive are we?
Okay.
Now,
That's
spoken like a real statistician.
You're right. He's right.
Spoken like a real statistician. Prove
Let's
it.
see.
Prove
Let's
it,
see.
Jonah. Prove it.
It's definitely him. Yeah.
Well, how do you know? How do you know?
We just
So
take
anybody
Jonah's
can.
word.
So I have the form, the link in the form. You can actually go to this right now in the Discord.
Shut up! Really?
I put it right in the Discord, so we
not
can
just
take
screenshots?
We can all take this together, guys.
Oh yes.
Okay, we can all take this together, and when this paper comes out, you can say, "I was a part of that on the Word Radio live stream. I am a datum in that wonderful paper." Okay, if you click on this research paper at the form, it takes you to LDS Church History Transparency Quiz, and the email. It says, if you have any feedback, you can email us at mormonstories@gmail.com.
Okay.
So we're going to be sure to submit a form to
I ain't
the
giving these people my
Scientology-
email.
The Scientology of North America with mormonstories@gmail.com. So yeah, we're going to take this together here. So you can all see the glory.
Here's number one right here. Here's number one right here. Okay. During your time as a church member, was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly taught that Joseph Smith was brought to criminal trial in 1826 as a treasure digger / scryer / glass looker with a reference, and this is so funny, brought to criminal trial? You can be brought to criminal trial for any false accusation out there. And you notice that he doesn't say, was falsely accused ad nauseum by people that hated him.
Guys, this is the first. This is your history transparency quiz. This is the first question. And it's like, did you know that he was brought for a criminal trial in 1826 for being a scryer / glass looker? Did they tell you that?
Okay.
All right, next question.
So look at this. Look at this.
Are you kidding?
By the way, look at this.
It's an
Look at the
interrogation right here.
answers. Look at the answers. Yes, most investigators and members were told about Joseph Smith's 1826 treasure digging trial. No, most investigators and members were not told about Joseph Smith's 1826 treasure digging trial. Well, first off, John, we don't call them investigators. We call them friends
Oh no,
of the church.
it gets even better.
Okay.
So,
And second off, this is hilarious just because
it's so bad.
Joseph Smith talks about it himself. How ad nauseum reports were so annoying. This is one of the few things he actually references in the canonized version of Joseph Smith history.
Yeah.
It is not only the general experience. It was how more taught broadly can it be than printed in the official origin story.
Yes.
Like,
we only churches used to be stone boxes with altars and windows. We rebuilt all of them to put libraries in them and then print this stuff and put it on shelves. No, but still, we're missing the point. The point is, this is the first question on your LDS transparency quiz? Did you know that one time my brother, sister's boyfriend's girlfriend said that Joseph
you could be very cynical.
What are you talking about?
You could be very cynical. Okay, you could be very cynical. And full disclosure, when I talked to John Dehlin and he met me, one of the first things he wanted to say was, I have never raped anybody, I've never sexually assaulted anybody, and I want to clear that air. And he wanted to talk mano a mano, say that. And frankly, I believed him. But I did say, basically, I don't remember the exact words, but like along the lines of, can't get mad at us for hashtag believe in all women when that's what you guys have been pushing.
That's what you've been pushing.
You know what I'm saying?
Forever.
Like,
And
that's what you've been pushing forever.
You know who's not here to defend himself?
And a
Joseph
cynic, and Joseph isn't here to defend himself,
Right.
but a cynic could literally just flip this on its head and say, during your time as an ex-member watching Mormon stories, was it your general experience that both new ex-members and people experiencing a faith transition were broadly taught that John Dehlin has been credibly accused, or whatever legal term you want to use to euphemize it and bathe it, was brought to an official complaint by the Delaware Department of Civil Rights for sexual harassment or sexual this or sexual like. You could completely make an accusation that could ruin a man's life.
Yep.
Okay, in real time, based off of myriad lawsuits that he has gone through himself, and me, probably one of the biggest debunkers of the Mormon Stories podcast, one of the biggest. I don't even feel that's fair.
No.
Like,
No,
I don't
it's just-
even
you
feel
can throw out accusations
that's
about
fair.
anybody. Right?
And so it's like, man, if you can't deal fairly in 2024 with somebody and something that happened that I know about and have spoken about, because don't forget, I spoke to these alleged victims and spoke to these people, I wasn't just making what's the term? Unfounded claims based off of hearsay, right? I was speaking to myriad individuals, right? So how, if I know you're lying in 2024, can I trust what you're saying happened in 1824?
Right. So, but it gets even better.
Okay, wait, I have so many questions.
Oh, okay.
First off, do we have any sense of what he plans to do with this information? Like, has he said what the goal is?
Well, we got to go
what
through the questions, but yeah, what's the goal? Sure.
So
also,
yeah.
okay, and then secondly, okay, so I'm just curious about 1826 specifically, like why that specifically? I don't know if I
I
just
think
don't
it's the
know
first
enough
one.
about.
It was the first one that we have documentation for. Basically, there was a wealthy individual who believed that he would have had treasure on his property, because back then people actually viewed that as like a legitimate form of income. That if you bought enough land, there might be a Spanish gold mine on it. All right, and we think that is insane now. But look,
that was the thing.
We're talking about people that were only 100 years away from like using leeches to cure demonic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
They were still using leeches.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, I mean, look, we're going to give these people grace, okay? And they sought out, if I remember the history, Don Bradley did an entire podcast on this, so I'm going to be butchering the history, of course. But what it basically boiled down to is people that were interested in finding this on their property would seek out people who either advertised the services, which Joseph Smith didn't, or were perceived as spiritually astute, shall we say, right? And Joseph Smith, more than anything, was actually a laborer. His family was paying rent after some very difficult farming times, and in order to make ends meet, after they just barely gotten out of debt for building a house for their mother or something, they had to engage in day labor. And so one of the best gigs in town at the time was a wealthy dude who was paying people to dig for gold on his property. So he dug, and after digging for a while, he's like, bro, you're not going to find anything. You know what I'm saying? And the guy wanted to do it anyway, so he kept paying him, right, until finally he said, no, I don't think you're going to find anything. And the hilarious part is, if I remember correctly, in that trial, the guy that owned the land came to defend him.
He came to defend him.
Like, came to
He
defend
did.
him and
Yeah.
say, yeah, this dude wasn't taking advantage of me. I got a little ahead of myself.
Yeah.
I put on like one too many leeches and he told me take half of them off. You know what I said? And it's just like, so like talk about no good deed goes unpunished, man.
Brutal.
Like, oh, it's just brutal.
Are we
Okay.
missing more options here? Is there?
No, that's
that
the
it?
best part. Look at
There's
the options.
no like.
No,
I'm
it's
not
so great.
sure, because how would you even know?
No, I
How
wasn't
would you
given
know?
informed consent that he was a tyrant, or no, or yes. You know what I'm saying?
What about an
I
I
was
don't
told
know?
that he was a bad person.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah, I don't know.
your only options are yes
Or no.
I was told he was a treasure digger, so yes, he is the pejorative. Or no, I wasn't told that he was the pejorative.
Yes, it is. It is. No, and yes, that's what sort of. So at the beginning of the outset, it says in the introduction, it's like these are designed to facilitate healthy discussions about factual LDS church history. You can't make this up. You can't make this up.
Did your dad beat you? Were you given informed consent that
When
your
did
father
he
was an
stop beating
abusive?
you?
Know, or no, you weren't told that he was an abusive person.
Yes.
When the DCFS is like taking that
Look,
questionnaire.
how are we supposed to make fun of these people when they make fun of themselves? How do you lampoon absurdity so bad? So he says, this quiz is for everyone who's ever been a church member. It says, note, this is in the intro, all of the historical facts below have been recognized by the church as valid. Bold. As valid.
As valid. What does valid mean? Like there's
References-
a shred of truth?
Yeah, references have been included.
Like
and so-
1826 was a year, a year in the name of our Lord, and there was not even actually a trial, because it didn't go to trial. If I remember correctly, it was a summons to appear, and then didn't the judge toss out or something?
What I want to call shenanigans on this entire thing, because Joe Smith wasn't even alive in 1826 BC.
Oh,
This is completely bunk. There's no option for that. No, the options are, get this, the options are, yes, I was told he's a criminal. No, I wasn't told he's a criminal. If you answered yes above, please include the year and setting where the information
Oh
was
my
broadly
gosh.
taught
Jeez.
to both investigators and members.
Wow.
It's like, you're such a clown.
Well, I can tell
What?
you, I can tell you exactly where it was taught to me. Doctrine and Covenants, my freshman year, if I remember correctly, in Sister Holliday's seminary.
Broadly
class.
taught, investigators and members.
Like, broadly taught, as in
What's the
like,
address?
As
What's the zip code?
I lied.
You answered yes.
Because
You're going to
I
have
can't-
to provide sources.
913. No,
It needs to be MLA format. MLA format your sources. It's so ridiculous.
90078. That's where it was. No.
Hey, question. Did he say who he wanted to take this survey? Is it open to anyone?
It says-
or is it...
It says at the beginning, it's open to anybody who's ever been a member, including active, inactive, and former. And at the very start, you answer, how many years have you been a member of record? Would you best describe yourself as Orthodox, semi-believer, or non-believer? And then how often do you go to church? And what's your current status? Are you active or
Does
current
any
member?
of this hold muster, Rylan?
Who could? Yeah.
No.
As a guy that actually got his doctorate in stats, like, does any of this hold muster? Why or why not?
Okay, there's so many reasons why
Sorry,
not.
pass
Okay.
muster or hold water. That's what I meant.
We're in question
That does not
number
hold water.
1, and Ryland's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
"Oh my dear."
Well, okay, we're just looking at the first question, so that's all I'm going to comment on for now. But there's so many problems with it, most of which we've already mentioned. But what are you even going to get out of this? If you click yes, then you're requiring more information to be given. The problem with that is that incentivizes people to click no, even if the answer could be yes. Also, we already mentioned there's not an I don't know. And basically, I'll just summarize it like this. When you're using what's called a convenience sample, where you're just getting people to take it who are willing to take it, you have questions set up in this biased format. The results end up being nothing.
Nothing.
You can't say anything.
Can't conclude anything.
You're not getting anything worth note. You can't generalize to anything. And the problem is, John Dehlin always tries to generalize his results to bigger populations when it's like,
Right.
no, you can't do that. There's no grounds to do that, no scientific grounds. I understand psychology is a pseudoscience, so he can get away with
Shots fired.
He meant a soft science, a very
Okay.
soft,
No, I should be
lovely
nice.
and supple.
I worked with a lot of psychologist people during my dissertation because my dissertation was on quantitatively studying the mechanisms behind sticking to healthy behaviors. And so there's psychologists who kind of, know about habit formation and the psychological
What makes you
stuff.
actually want to go walking for 30 minutes a day?
Sure, and then I come in and do more of like the data, looking at things. 'Cause now we have smartwatches, we have all kinds of devices that track this stuff, and then it's like, what are people doing to actually stick to these behaviors long term? So I respect the psychologists. I shouldn't say it's a pseudoscience, but it's kind of a pseudoscience. So
No, but they're psychologists who are at least they don't pretend to be freaking Isaac Newton.
Well,
they don't pretend.
Brittany's a psychologist.
That's right.
Right.
Well, I got my undergrad in it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's as
Hey,
good
hey.
as John Dehlin. Right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So okay. So but
Just
here's
send out
the
a
other
survey,
thing.
then you'll get a PhD. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, but here's the other thing: is that he look how much he loads it. You covered this in your first debunk in Ether's Elephant. Look how much he loads this thing. Let's say you wanted to say yes about something. Yes, most investigators were told. Well, that's not good enough. It has to be most investigators and members. Most members, sorry, you have to include investigators. We're told about Joseph Smith's 1826 treasure digging trial. Were they broadly taught? Were they taught or were they broadly taught? Because if they're not broadly taught, then you can't say yes. He loads it with so many things. It's like
Okay, and one of the fundamental flaws of psychology is when you're doing a survey like this, you're relying on people's memory. And memory is
it's
terrible.
True.
And, okay, but like I really think this is important to talk about. The fact that you click yes and then you have to fill out more information, that gives you a more cognitive load to have to remember something if you're going to click yes.
Which
And
is
so
why
there's
he
like
puts it there.
There's a mental, like, almost like a subconscious incentive to click no.
Right.
Because then you don't have to think, like, try and remember a specific date. No, that's just kind of...
Date
let's-
and place.
Anyway, let's go on to the second one. Let's burn
Okay,
through the
yeah,
next
okay.
three. Let's
All
burn
right.
through the next three.
Next question number 2. Brittany, do you want to read this?
Sure. During your time as church member. You got to fix that, John. During your time as a church member, which
real psychologist.
description below most accurately reflects what you, other church members, and investigators were most often taught regarding the translation of the Book of Mormon with Oliver Cowdery? That is a long question. Like, I got to read that a couple times
Right.
to, like, even see. Like, what are you asking me?
I got to
Hold
build
on.
a diagram. Okay, during my times. Okay, so I remember. Here's I am. There's a timeline of.
Okay,
my
well,
church
here's the
membership.
options right here. It says the church generally taught that the golden plates were completely out of Joseph Smith's sight while he was translating the Book of Mormon using a stone placed in a hat. Oh, gosh. He's going after the stone of the hat stuff. And the second thing, the church generally taught that the golden plates were sitting on the table with Joseph Smith while he was translating using the Urim and Thummim, parentheses, breastplate with. Okay, so he's making the stone in the hat argument. Look, how about this? We were taught that it didn't matter. Because actually, I shouldn't say it was taught that we didn't matter. I would say the average active member was far less concerned with the methodologies as what the book does to your life. And it's a spiritual connection that we gain with the Book of Mormon. These people that have tried to dissect, because you're making a spiritual analysis of what happened. Like, for example, people all the time want to argue over whether, like, the Egyptian chariots had like 5-spoked or 4-spoked wheels at the time of Tutmos or Ramsey during the Exodus, and where Moses would have crossed the Red Sea. And then, like, some archaeologically minded people will get like really angry and feel like we're somehow missing out on some golden nuggets of the lesson of the Exodus if we're not talking about the difference between 5-spoke and 4-spoke chariot wheels. Why? Because at the end of the day, the lesson of the Exodus and the parting of the Red Sea is not how archaeologically accurate the painting by Rembrandt that we use inside of the church printed lesson manual is of the chariots. It's that when your back is up against the wall and you've been told to flee from Egypt and you got nowhere else to go, God will part the Red Sea behind you before he abandons you to Babylon, to
That's
Egypt.
the point.
That's the point. And so I would argue that this, again, is forcing somebody into a corner that if you have a spiritual conversation about a book, then you're not getting informed consent. Well, that's like saying if you weren't taught the birthplace of the guy that wrote Chicken Noodle Soup for the Soul, then
it's all a fraud.
Then it's all
you can't believe any of it.
It's all a fraud. You haven't been told. Did you know that his grandmother once was caught stealing thread from Joanne's fabrics? You know, it's just like, oh my gosh.
You called it chicken noodle soup again.
I know. I keep doing that. It's chicken soup for the soul, right?
Yeah.
I know. It's so horrible.
So during your time as a Mormon Story subscriber, which description below most accurately reflects what you and other Mormon Story subscribers and potential Mormon Stories viewers, perhaps unsubscribed viewers, were most often taught regarding credible accusations of sexual harassment against John Dehlin in Delaware? Right, and look at the answers. Okay,
you could cynically flip it on its head in 2 seconds.
You could say anything. I mean, how could you load it with more? You have to read the question 3 times because it's loaded with so many.
By the way,
so many
again,
claims.
shout out to Sister Holiday. This is why there's 2 sound bites that I felt, and I knew exactly what they're talking about when they invented the term. Donald Trump, when he said fake news, like we all know exactly what he meant, and that's why it's in the lexicon. And second is Russell M. Nelson when he said lazy learners. I have taught seminary myself, and I've been in seminary lessons when we talked about this exact thing. And it was never considered deep doctrine. It was considered part of the conversation. It was an interesting nugget that was a minority of the time spent, because at the end of the day, we'd want to talk about other things like generally what the plates probably look like and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, again, shout out to Sister Halliday and early morning seminary. I don't know if it's because so many Utahns were allowed to sleep through third period on the building across from the campus, and maybe I just had to go at 5:45 a.m. with like the real members of the church.
Right. That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know if it was early morning. I don't know if it's just the elevation in Utah. I don't know what it is, but we talked about this stuff. I mean, to such a degree, I remember talking about like what the Urim and Thummim was like, what the whole stone in the hat theory was, and how it was actually probably a mixture of 2, and how there was actually a point of time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going off like high school memories and like Don Bradley conversations at this point. I can't remember.
All memories are totally reliable. Take it to the bank.
No. Wasn't there actually a period of time where he would not use either?
This is what I thought. When people say, "Oh no, he did it this way, he did it that way," I think actually he kind of did it every way. I thought.
Yeah,
he had like 3
in
scribes.
one of the journal articles. Didn't Emma Smith say that he would always pick up where he left off,
right?
And that there were moments where like he would look up and not use anything. If I remember correctly,
It sounds right.
Okay, but you know where could you find a reference to this? Because we're talking about
all
LDS
over the church's
transparency.
website.
Well, where would we find a link to the church's website? Oh, it's actually the reference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I wondered.
So here, Homeboy's like, oh, the church isn't transparent about these things. You know how we know the truth? If you go to this website over here, sponsored by, the church. Ooh, the church is the one giving us the information.
I think I have one of the issues I have, or maybe that's not an issue, but I'm very interested in what he means by the church generally. Okay, Cardin, you just talked about, where you grew up.
Rubber clauses.
You talked about all the
fill
stuff.
in what you want.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, what is the church supposed to mean here? Your local community of volunteers who aren't perfect, right? Or just like teaching because in some circumstances you definitely did learn about it. But then it says generally. So are we talking like general conference? Are we talking like what's in the manual? Because if it's in the manual but you weren't taught it, then is it the church not teaching that? Or, you know what I mean?
The local
volunteers. There's like, how do you distinguish the meaning of the church generally taught this or not? Like, it could have been in the manual and they just skipped over it, for example.
I know what kids would put their hands in their hoodie pockets and go like this and fall asleep sitting up.
Right, yeah.
And I know they'd miss my lesson, and I'm sorry. It's not because I didn't say anything. Now, by the way, Sister Halliday, God bless her soul, but she's a psychopath for history. She's a crazy lady when it comes to history, but in the awesome way. Like in the absurd, I've read every Pioneer journal I can get a hold of.
Wow.
And into church history and hyper prepared for every lesson. So maybe I got an overachiever seminary teacher. In fact, I know for a fact she was an overachiever seminary teacher, right? But not by so many standard deviations that she was teaching some hidden gnosis that nobody knew about. Because that same conversation, I remember talking about myriad times what I learned in her class in countless following elders quorum conversations, firesides, scout spiritual retreats, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
it's like trying to say, were you ever taught that George Washington didn't actually cut down the cherry tree? It's like, I'm sorry, if you missed that myth, you were just not in 5th grade history.
Well, but where did you learn it? What was the address? What was the street number of the seminary building that you were in?
Yeah.
Date and
Wait,
time.
does this one require that too?
Yes, it does.
Are you serious?
If you choose option 1 in the question above,
I
please
am
include the year
baffled.
and setting where this information was broadly taught to both investigators and members.
Okay,
Dude, John Dehlin missed his calling. He missed his calling. You know what he'd be really good at that I just realized?
let's hear it.
An interrogating
clown.
cop.
The
An
bad
interrogating cop. Yeah, so we got
Oh,
footage of you
okay.
doing the bad thing. Yeah, your friends already ratted you out. So were you there with a gun or with a pistol? You know what I'm saying? It just some
wasn't
guy's
there.
sweating right there. You know, big 6'7" John Dehlin sitting over him, being like, "Yeah, we know you did it. We know you're a baddie. This thing's in the bag. Your friends just ratted you out." You know what I'm saying? It's just like-
Heads I win, tails you lose. type of thing.
Dude, yeah, exactly.
Every
It's
question.
like he missed his calling, man.
Okay.
If Mormon Stories fizzles and doesn't work out, he should just go work for the Fed, dude.
Now, do we have the Saint Our Lady of Perpetual Super Chats?
Oh, geez.
Do we have her here?
Oh.
Yes, I just realized I left my phone.
Oh, is it in the parking
boo.
garage?
Yeah, it's in my car. So
Oh, go grab it and I'll do the super chats. And by the
Okay.
way, we're going to light a candle to you in celebration of Austin
you.
Falter and Falter Media. Okay, St. Ellis and the St. Ellis Our Lady of Perpetual Super Chats.
For those of you who missed the,
If you missed the live stream last night,
you missed out.
you know what I'm saying? You
You
totally
missed out.
Yeah.
We had a live musical performance. We had a baptism in
By-
a
by
cold
fire.
by
plunge.
fire?
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
kinda.
It was amazing. So
Yeah, so here we go. The patron saint keepress of the chats is right here.
now make sure, guys, we're
Dude, last
liking
night's
the
live stream was so fun.
It was really fun, actually.
You guys got to go check it out. Oh, speaking of going and checking things out really fast while I'm pulling this up, just because it's here, don't forget the Antichrist Playbook, guys. It is on sale for Ward Radio listeners only. Make sure you guys check it out in the link to the there's going to be a link in the description of this video, but there's definitely a link in the description of yesterday's video and all of the other interviews that I've done with Jeff Borders. This book is hilarious, and it's great for your 15 to 18-year-old, 15 to 21-year-old children. How does it read, Jonah? As an author, do you like this book?
Oh, easy read, very accessible read. Anybody can open it up. Your teenagers, easy. It's not highfalutin.
And it's the first book that what? I haven't revealed this yet, but what's significant about the first pages of this book?
Oh well, because this is Cardin Ellis's own literary authorship debut. Actually, in this book, the foreword was written by Cardin. I actually read
The
the foreword.
first book I read I wrote the foreword for.
Bro,
yeah.
when I read
Congratulations.
the foreword written by Cardin, I heard it in your voice. I heard your voice saying it, and you will too when you read it. I swear, any of you, you're gonna be like, "Oh,
I
this is
forgot
so
what I
Cardin.
said. We're just going to do the first 2 sentences. Just remind me what I said.
Oh, it's
What did I
it's
say?
excellent. You said there's two problems of the modern church today, and this book addresses them both.
Our society has 2 problems right now, and the Antichrist Playbook helps solve them both.
Boom.
Oh,
What did I say?
interesting. The first is a new, more social media-driven breed of anti-Mormons who have learned how to Trojan horse their worldviews into a church by weaponizing the naivete of trusting members and the inclusive nature of church doctrine and culture. The second problem is church niceness culture perpetuated by well-intentioned members untrained in this new battlefield of ideas that consistently fails to recognize these anti-Mormons or confront them and may even accidentally enable their worldviews.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Bro, you wrote
is-
that.
That
That
had
goes
some
hard.
pepper. It aged well.
You wrote that.
Like, look what we're talking about right now.
It's
This
pretty
is
good.
awesome.
This is exactly what this is. All right, now we have Our Lady of Perpetual Super Chats. She has 1.5% left on her phone battery.
Uh-huh.
No, it's like 70%. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Hit it. Hit it,
Is the
babe.
first one Jacob Mayberry?
Could be.
Could
Let me see here. I'm going to look up here.
Could be. Who's responsible for that, Brittany? For knowing that?
Yeah, no, I'm going to tell you right now. First super chat is With Titus, actually, I'll read it.
Okay.
It says John Dehlin got $220,000 from USAID according to Data Republican Database. William Reel Jr. got $100,000. Did you see?
Whoa.
No, there was this.
Is that real?
There was this. There's a thread on how John Dehlin gets paid. I can't corroborate all of those stats, but he gets money from outside organizations, big time.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's I can't verify any one of those specific claims, but he's not just collecting super chats and individually funded by $5 donations.
It's a tasty
He
grip.
gets some 4-figure, 5-figure drops, dude.
Right,
Like,
from these charitable.
You'd be wild. It's wild how much money you get when you're willing to stare down the barrel of the camera and be like, I will never apologize for my social justice. Like, boom. Like,
Is he hiring? I mean,
yeah, seriously. Like,
I love some money.
so, no, there's been some cash thrown at him. Now, at the end of the day, when you get these spider veins, people have done the whole spider vein graphs of like, okay, well, this company funded him, but also they received $220K from this person that also received $1 million from George Soros. So he's got Soros money, and
some of it's indirect, but sometimes
yeah.
that's intentional. Is that you say, let's run it through the laundry machine a couple times so it looks cleaner.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I'll tell you right now, I doubt that like George Soros is worried about flipping them Mormons, but taking an 8% chunk out of Utah's voting demographic and flipping it blue that would be a big head on a stick, similar to the Democrats that flipped Orange County blue for that one season. You guys may not realize, but like 7 out of 8 districts in Orange County in 2016, I think it was, were flipped blue. 2018, it might have been the midterms. I don't remember.
Hey,
but
when
anyway.
it's not your money, don't be picky.
Yeah, so anyway.
And the next super chat which one?
Mary Lou Howarth. Knowing this information will not help me know Christ better and will not help me reach the celestial kingdom.
Wait, not knowing about his 1826 trial, his kangaroo court
Amen.
in 1826, that's not going to help your testimony? Right? These guys want us to be talking about this in every sacrament
But
meeting.
by the way, guys, and hold on.
do.
Social
true,
progressives that espouse this kind of pseudo history and science, you have to remember this is how bigoted some of these statements are. You could say the same thing about Martin Luther King.
Yep.
You could say the same thing about many of the civil rights leaders of the 1960s. Are you comfortable saying Martin Luther King was a baddie because the FBI had an open file on him?
When and where were you and everyone else broadly instructed regarding the FBI's open file against Martin Luther King?
This is the cruel hypocrisy of anti-Mormonism. You could say the exact same thing about any major person who's done anything grand in the North American continent. They have been on law enforcement's radar for better or for worse. So this is a wildly bigoted, pseudo-historical statement. I'm not going to say you're stupid if you believe, but I will say that you are politically biased beyond the ability for me to consider you rational if you engage in this kind of honestly cultural Marxist arguments. So
And the next
Jacob
super chat.
Mayberry, hit it, babe.
Okay. Jacob Mayberry says it really depends on which subdiscipline in psychology. Personality and intelligence psychology is solid. Social psychology is bleh. And research on LGBTQ issues is even worse because it's so politically charged.
Yep. Okay,
Amen.
well put. Well
Sounds
put.
good.
Amen.
No, of course there's good psychologists. There's rigorous psychologists out there who are doing actual research. Of course there are. But phonies like this piggyback off of y'all's good reputation and make you all look silly with this absurd survey. And we're going to get to more questions here soon.
I'm sorry, psychologists.
Yeah. Next super chat, babe.
Greg Fessia says, now that Trump is president of the United States, we need an update show on Siaka Massaquoi, please.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
I was
idea.
talking with Siaka just a couple of weeks ago. We were texting. I shouldn't say talking. One of the most beautiful moments, and it was actually on the Daily Wire, where Jeremy Boring was at a party with Jeremy Boring, and I was not at that same party, but assuming what Jeremy Boring said is true, Siaka went up to him when Trump was elected and said, "I'm not going to prison." I was there. I was involved in a different case in Los Angeles, but I was there. When Siaka was under investigation, he was literally worried at any given moment they would raid his house. Like, we're talking
I would have been too.
political, like, this is third world political stuff, right? And then when Donald Trump was elected, it was like, okay, And anybody who's never been a victim of that kind of witch hunt does not know what that does to your psychology, to your spirit, your essence. It was cruel what was done to Sayaka.
He was about to be a father too.
Oh yeah, just gotten married, just gotten baptized as a Christian. Like
his wife was pregnant.
Sayaka is a great guy, and unfortunately, he's moved away from Los Angeles. He went with the Daily Wire, and he's with all those guys in Tennessee now, if I remember correctly. Tennessee or Florida, I don't remember. But
went to Tennessee, bought a house for $350.
I don't even want to know, right? But he's making hilarious stuff.
Jonah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm on the West Coast too.
And it's sad, but literally, like, the kind of cultural Marxism that is espoused in the bigotry of questions like this one is the same kind of crap that leads innocent people like Siaka Massaquoi to literally fear for their lifetime treasure, homes, personal relationships.
And it's all paid for by the same.
All paid for by the same
money.
kind of people. Like, yeah.
And the next super chat is Adam Johnson. He says the
sophistry
of anti-Mormons is like a hot chick with a narcissistic personality. They're both tempting to look at, but don't engage.
Red flag.
Wow.
Stay away.
Savage.
Stay away.
Okay, Kyle Smith. Hit us with Kyle
All
Smith,
right.
super chat, babe.
My young men's leader growing up taught us these things that people claim the church has hidden until recently. This was in the early 1990s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I was one. Cute.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've tried sometimes bringing these things up with youth, and they're not interested in them.
Yeah.
No, I'm legit. I'm
I
like,
mean, I
did
wonder.
you know?
It's kind of boring. To be honest.
I mean, I did this demonstration to my deacons like 2 weeks ago. I took out, okay, you're going to be Joseph Smith over here. You're going to be Oliver Cowdery. And I put my coat between them. I held up my suit coat. I was like, okay, so, and he would look and he would say, I'm trying to explain this to my deacons. I'm thinking this is really cool. And they're just like, yeah, so what? Like, they don't care.
You got to talk the Gen A lingo.
I guess so. All emojis, all abbreviations.
No, that's so millennial, bro. They're past that, dog.
Be like, listen, RN, bras.
That's
Listen, RN, bras.
That's pre-brain rot, dog.
I'm
Because
Sursla.
now the Gen Alpha speak is so different from the Gen Z speak that they call the Gen Z speak brain rot.
Oh, wow.
So when the elder millennials go down into the Gen Z territory, they're already speaking the outdated mother tongue, just like the King James language was already outdated by the time the translators converted it into King James speech. You're
I have
three
to ask
iterations
Ryder all
away.
the time, like, what does that mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you ever get it right, though, and they say, like, yeah, cool, you feel so proud. Okay.
Okay, Troy Eldridge says, hey, I just wanted to say thanks. My girlfriend's family isn't very active, so I am helping her get ready for her mission by watching your videos.
Oh,
Whoa.
my. Oh, my.
That's
boom.
Wow.
Awesome.
Cool.
Troy, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Also, go check out the Light and Truth Letter.
Yeah.
Great prep for missionaries. Go check out the Light and Truth Letter.
I still want to do that idea we talked about in the live stream yesterday. Wouldn't that be so
The leather
sick,
bound?
bro?
Dude, it'd be all over
Leather
it.
bound Light and Truth Letter, free gift to anybody that's serving a mission. Like, we could literally just show up in different missions in the mission office and be like, dude, mission president, take these. I will do a free seminar to all of your missionaries. Dude, that would be so based, man.
And if a mission president took you up on it, legend. He'd be a legend.
Absolute legend. Okay, keep us at the chats. Here you are, Saint Ellis, our sister of
Our Lady.
Our Lady of Perpetual Super Chats.
Okay, ready?
Protect the
MK
chat.
Bunny 8 says they have couples tickets now because I asked.
They have
Or-
couples
tickets.
What were we talking about that has tickets?
We're talking about the USA-Canada hockey game that's going on right now.
Well,
No,
she's
I don't know.
going somewhere with her significant other, so that's cool.
Well,
Well,
good.
we hope you have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock on.
Tikla. Oh, hi, Tikla. Tikla says Austin Fife, the author of the Light and Truth Letter, has a misdemeanor on his record for having an expired fire extinguisher in his boat. Just wanted there to be informed consent.
Informed consent. John Dehlin will do
When
it.
did you find out, Tikla?
Yeah, when and where?
was it generally taught
Uh-huh.
to everybody and investigators
And
and,
investigators.
anybody who looked at the cover?
Yep.
Like pornography needs a disclaimer
Yes.
and cigarettes need a warning label.
Yes.
Does the Light and Truth Letter say, warning, the author had an expired fire extinguisher on his boat? Because if not, there is no form of extent. You are ableist. You are bigoted, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, and all of the above.
Right.
Wow.
When and where did you disclose this all to the Muslims?
Labor camps are the moderate position.
We're just trying. We're not extreme in this. It's a very moderate position.
Tikla, thank you for your super chat. Moving on. Nate Dog says, first off, last night's outro was amazing. Secondly, okay, I gotta say, yes, it was. I posted it on my Instagram, your Little Light of Mine song. Secondly, my parents dropped me off every morning for seminary, and then when I graduated, then had a lot of questions as to why I didn't get 100% attendance.
Oh, savage.
Were you
Nate
out
Dogg.
in the hallways?
Yeah, he was smoking weed in the
All
tunnel.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
He also says, Ward Radio is the only 10 I see.
Oh,
LOL.
nice. Wow.
Oh, we get it.
Wow.
We get it.
We'll take
see
it.
what you did there.
The Haystack says, Christian friends forget Jesus was also accused.
Oh, boom. Boom.
But John Dehlin's not Christian.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay,
savage.
MK Bunny 8 says, Antichrist playbook event.
Oh.
That's what the couple
yeah,
tickets.
yeah.
Ah, now I get it. Yes. And speaking of which, guys, on March 7th, might as well pub this now again before I forget. There's actually an event. Jonah, you going to be there, bro?
I'm going to be hosting.
You're going to be hosting an event.
Yes, I'm the MC.
You're the MC of the event. What's going to go on at the Antichrist Playbook launch event?
Oh my gosh.
All kinds of stuff's going to go on.
Wow.
Cool.
Because Hayden and Jackson, hopefully, are going to be a Pacific Ocean away, so they can't stop. They can't stop me.
Oh.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want.
It's going to be a super fun event. Basically, it's in Orem, Utah at 7 p.m. on March 7th. And make sure that you guys, if you want a ticket to the event, a book is included. And also, so is a shirt. So go to the link. That, I'm going to just copy and paste the link from yesterday's live stream into the link of this live stream so people can see it right away and they don't have to wait until it's over with. But go to plainandpreciouspublishing.com. There's going to be a link there. If you want just the book, you can order the book just by itself at plainandprecious.com. But last time, a lot of people showed up with a book saying, oh, I bought a book. Do I get in? And it caused a lot of confusion. So if you want to get into the event and purchase your book there, just purchase your book and you'll get the shirt and you'll be able to show up at the event and you'll pick it up there. So I'm going to go and copy paste this while you go over the next questions and whatnot.
Okay. Well, yeah, we hope to see you at that event on March 7th. There's going to be music. There's going to be dancing. There's going to be romance. There's going to be tears. It's going to be amazing. So make sure you're there. It's going to be tons of fun. All right, question number 3. We've only made it through 2 questions, people.
Wow.
You don't even know about church history. We can barely get through these things.
How many are there?
questions? Yeah.
Yes. There's clearly not enough to inform you all. Question number 3. During your time as a church member, was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly taught? The Book of Mormon witness David Whitner denied that Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery ever received the Melchizedek priesthood from Peter, James, and John, and instead that the Melchizedek priesthood was invented after the fact reference. Yes, the church generally taught that David Whitner denied that Joseph and Oliver received the Melchizedek priesthood, or no, the church did not generally teach that David Whitmer denied that Joseph and Oliver received the Melchizedek priesthood. If you dare answer yes, I know what you're trying to answer, Rylan, and if you're thinking about answering yes, then please include the year or years, the setting or settings, where the information was broadly taught to both investigators and members.
Why would the church even need to talk about that?
I was just cutting and pasting.
That's a good question.
What's going on?
Honestly, I would just stop taking the survey at this point. I'd be like, I don't know.
What are
This
we even talking
Well,
about?
like,
right
gonna
now?
what
scroll
is-
TikTok.
What is the church's role? To be like a history university? Or to teach people
To give everybody
how to
PhDs
come
in
closer to Christ? You know, the gospel of Jesus Christ. I don't know. Like,
Dude, speaking of
that's
this,
silly.
babe, there was some female intuition in your comment, and it looks like the Dove's Nest just joined you. You got to read her super chat right now.
Oh, Dove's Nest? Okay. These questions are 10 miles long. He got people to answer them worse than the SATs. I agree. I'm bored to tears.
We love Dove's Nest. She's a loyal listener. We like
All right,
Dove's
so we're going over the next
Nest.
question.
Number 4. Who can we have
That
Donald
was
Trump
number
read this
3.
one?
Here's number 4. Okay. So read number 4, my man.
I need Donald Trump
really
to read
see
this.
it all that well.
Wait, you do Trump impressions, bro?
He does now.
You do Trump impressions?
Let me try one. And if it sucks, that's okay. Just tell me if it sucks.
Oh, okay.
Ready? Here we go. I love the Mormons. They have my favorite Bible, folks. It's tremendous. The Golden Bible. Excuse me. Not even Joe Smith could keep them together. And he had less than 1 million. I have millions and millions voting for me. They love me. It's a love fest, really. Anyway, that's
That's an excellent impression. That was awesome.
Dude, can you read this question in a Trump expression,
I don't
bro?
know if I can.
Dog, do it.
During your time as a church member, that's what they're calling them.
Beautiful church.
members. Was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly and explicitly taught that Joe Smith married over 30 women? Can you believe that? I think it's a lot more than 30, but they're saying 30, so we'll say at least 30. Honestly, he ought to be ashamed. It should have been 40. It should have been 50. What a terrible man this is in his lifetime.
Nasty man. He's a nasty man.
Including girls as young as 14, mothers, daughters, sisters even.
Wow.
Sisters, wow. And over 10 women who were already married at the time he was sealed to them. What a nasty man. Gross man. I wouldn't have done that. No way. No way, Jose.
Excellent impression.
That was amazing.
Excellent.
That was funny. That
Let
was
the chat
funny.
decide, I
Wow.
suppose. If they-
So
Wow.
here's the answer. Yes, the church generally taught investigators and members these details about Joseph Smith's polygamous marriages. Or no, the church not generally teach investigators. And the research that Don Bradley puts forth about him, Fanny Alger not being 14 years old and actually 18,
Actually 18, right?
was tremendous, but
Yes.
never recycled in that. I had kids in my high school in the 21st century getting married younger than that Joseph Smith had in the 1800s to Fanny Alger. And they're coming at Joseph Smith like he's some psychopath. And by the way, we're talking about sealings, not even real actual marriages.
That's the rub.
You know,
behind
that's
this whole
the rub.
thing. Yeah.
It's not a rub. It's a filthy scrape.
Also, I know I don't have like a PhD or anything, but how can something be broadly and explicitly taught?
Broadly and explicitly,
Don't
generally.
they kind of counteract?
Well,
each
because
other?
the broads, the dames, women are generally the instructors. They're leading the charge in
But
anti-Mormonism
Brittany
right
brings
now.
up a good point.
So it was explicitly taught by the.
No, different definition.
Oh, no.
Carden, you're thinking of broad. No.
Oh, did I? Oh, it's an adverb.
Broadly.
No, I see.
Broad,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. See what I'm doing there?
But she brings up a
Skip,
good point. She brings up a good point because you can confuse people with language. Like he's kind of muddying the language here.
Yep.
Probably on purpose.
Specifically.
But if
yeah.
you're doing that, that is bad research. I mean, I don't have to say that. Everyone knows that. That's just garbage.
No, but they don't. And you actually have a
They
real PhD
do.
in a hard science, not an anti-Mormon pseudoscience given to people, given to you by, PhDs need to be approved by its 8 professors, a board of 8 professors, right?
No. Well, you have
I want to
your
know
committee.
who approved John Dehlin.
Oh, it's written on his dissertation.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
names.
It is.
We have
I
names. Public.
guarantee you, if you look them up on Facebook or on their social media, raging social progressives with nothing but Ukraine flags and gay pride flags.
So 2 of them
and anti-church rhetoric in their freaking Instagram pages, the whole 9 yards.
I believe 2 of them at least were at some point professors at BYU. Maybe they're not anymore. But
They
so
probably still are.
probably.
If they're honest with themselves.
At the Kennedy Center.
So at the
Yeah.
beginning of his at the paper, at least that I looked at in my video, they have a statement, and it's kind of funny. They're like, "We just want to make sure that everyone knows that we're objective. We actually like the church, and we're just trying to understand it."
No, if you have to
We
say
have
that,
certain-
That's
Then
when you know it's BS.
and I might go read it for yourself because I don't want to like totally misrepresent it, which I might be doing, but like it's pretty silly.
So
Not
one
gonna lie.
so one of them, Dr. Melanie M. Dominic Rodriguez, she adapts evidence-based interventions for Latinx families and other diverse populations. She teaches courses on multiculturalism and diversity.
Dude, okay, as a Southern California, let me tell you, Latinos are not interested in Latinx.
Yeah.
They speak a gendered language. That is such a white chick, normie, white savior, cultural Marxist. I'm here to save the minorities from what? The language they've been speaking
For
2,000 years? You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
most lovely poetry spoken in the Western Hemisphere. Some of the most beautiful music and cuisine. That's what you're saving them from.
Hey, respect those letters after their name. Respect it, okay? He sent out a survey.
So the professor, we got a Latinx DEI junkie.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Pushing all this cultural Marxism. Who else approved that PhD?
Let's see who else we can look.
Are
this up.
you looking at the committee or the authors on the paper?
Oh, that's a great question.
I mean, they're probably
we are
actually
but
the
humble
same.
bakers here, all right? I don't even know the difference.
So yeah, usually you have a committee of the people who approve it, and it's made up of at least 3 to I don't know. It depends on the field too. Sometimes there's probably up to double digits, I suppose, but usually at least 3 on the committee. They're the ones that have to approve the PhD. They're the ones who probably worked with him to refine, edit, build out the survey, all that stuff.
That's what it looks
So
like. These are the 3. There are 3 mentioned. Committee. Committee.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's getting just the best advice out there. I mean, from Melanie, Dominique, dashed into hyphen Rodriguez.
Well, that's common in Peru to have heavily hyphenated names. And it's not just like the raging feminists here that are angry
What
at
language do
their...
they speak in Peru?
Well, they speak Spanish, but
Is it a
culturally...
gendered language?
Yes, but I'm saying the hyphen. Like oftentimes in North America, when you have, some woman who's graduating in gender studies, also known as Man Hating 101, they'll, they hyphenate their last name to show their respect for their mother that carries, their grandfather's name. But, that's like they're sticking it to the man by not giving up their maiden name or whatever, right? And it's funny because when you go down to like Peru or you go down to South America, there's countries where there's like 4 hyphens. It's like De La Vega Ruiz, Hernandez, Lopez, Rodriguez, and it's just like, wow, that ID is long, and when they get married, they hyphenate in the middle. So you'll get like a bazillion hyphens. It's actually kind of cool.
Well, yeah. So these are the people who are circle jerking their PhDs around to give themselves a veneer of academia. So, all right, where are we at? We are on number 5.
Hold on, can I catch up with super chats
Yes,
before we go on?
hit it.
First off, Jonah, can you welcome Sharp-Toothed Tuna? He's a member of the Basic Telestial Ticket.
We have just received the records, brothers and sisters. We've just received the records of Brother Sharp-Toothed Tuna into the Ward Radio Worship. All those who would like to welcome Brother Sharp-Toothed Tuna, Brother Tuna, into the Ward Radio Worship, please do so by putting a W in the chat. We're thrilled that you're here. People, make sure you're liking the stream, people. Okay? Remember from last night, you like the stream, you get weird, cool stuff. Okay?
Yeah, it's true.
Like the stream.
Wow. Fidget the Crazy says, it checks Dove.
Fidget?
His episodes are 5 hours long. That is true.
Oh.
Snagrit says, here's the deal. Dehlin is just preaching to the choir. He doesn't care about good science and information. He just wants more fuel for his minions.
Mm-hmm.
True, but one of the problems, though, is because he has the PhD next to his name and he has the sign-off of other scientists, he can package it as if it is good science.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we still need to do our diligence in debunking a lot of what he's doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's true.
People don't know.
Nate Pomeroy gifted a Word Radio membership to Rio Dragon.
Well, thank you, Brother Nate, for doing your ward missionary job to Rio Dragon.
Yeah.
We would like to welcome Brother Dragon into the Ward Radio Worship. Please do so by putting a W in the chat. All those opposed, we don't care if you're opposed.
W. Boom. All right.
Okay.
Next one.
I think I'm all caught up.
All right, number 5. During your time as a church member, was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly taught that Joseph Smith hid his first 22 polygamous marriages from his wife, Emma, and that his first wife, Emma, was sealed to Joseph after at least 22 other women? Was this generally taught?
I'm so tired of generally, broadly.
Broadly.
Oh my gosh.
Taught to everybody?
What does that mean?
And if you're thinking about answering yes to that question, you need to make sure that you provide the year and the setting and the zip code.
No, but I'll tell you exactly
when it was
why
taught.
he uses broadly. Because then if somebody says yes, they can disqualify it as not enough.
Right.
Therefore, lacking informed consent. Because that's the big brain. Remember, this is spiritual terrorism. They hold your humanity hostage until you agree with their politics. And that's the blue church MO. It's just on a spectrum. You are not human until you are assimilated into the cyborg. And it's all just a spectrum of how blue you go. And we hold your humanity hostage. You are MAGA until you are fully bathed in the ritualistic baptismal waters of woke. And it was hilarious because when you noticed a little bit of this in the Salt Lake Tribune article that just came out. Remember
that's
when
right.
They said, yeah, tell them that story.
Did everybody see the Salt Lake Tribune? Ward Radio was in the Salt Lake Tribune. I hope everybody went and saw it. Actually, a lot nicer than we thought it was going to be. But the writer of the article, who I was impressed with, she did a very professional job, called me before the article was out, and she said, "Oh, here's what we're going to write about you guys. That Jonah Barnes is a contributor to the raucous conservative podcast, Ward Radio." And I said, "Conservative?" And she says, "Yeah." I said, "Why do you say we're conservative?" And she said, "Well, I watched a couple episodes, and it seems like you guys are conservative." And I said, "Okay, so Quake was president of the BYU Democrats. Brad isn't even Brad's Canadian. His politics are all over the place. I mean, he's American now, but he was Canadian. And Cardin was a Yang supporter, and I'm a pacifist. I don't know what politics that is, but that's kind of all over the place." And she goes, "You're right. I'll take that out." And so she took it out, which I appreciate.
But the hilarious part, though, is because literally this is the way the elitist mindset goes in the blue church and the blue church adjacent, is that, only liberals are allowed to be raucous. If you're conservative, thou shalt be boring and quiet. And this is all just a social signaling function. So you virtue signal your liberalism through your attitude towards X. And if somebody has kind of a fun or flippant attitude, then they must be liberal.
No, compare us to John Dehlin and tell me who's a more fun podcast. Really? Really? How is this stereotypes? How does this still exist?
We're lighting candles. We got hot chicks. We got doctors that look like they graduated from high school 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Doing Donald Trump impressions.
That's right.
Which are actually pretty good.
That was a solid impression. Can we get some
was a
likes?
solid
I appreciate that.
Get some likes for the solid
We got
impression.
pacifist weirdos.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Who people haven't seen your cool music, your jam session yesterday. Some people missed that.
I know.
That
You're
was
missing the
pretty good.
live streams. People, you're missing a lot. All right, number 6.
Is the guitar still in here?
Yeah, we're gonna have him do another outro. Maybe we'll do an intermission song.
Oh,
know.
well.
Arrest
Actually,
him.
no, here's what we're going to do. I figured out this new goal thing. Guys, check this out. Goal. Make a super chat more fun with goals. If we get, I'm going to put it to 15 super chats. Once we get 15 super chats, if we get them over the next, I'm going to make it 15 minutes. That's 1 minute. That's a hot pace. Then
That's aggressive.
Jonah
Wait.
will
All right.
sing an
Well,
intermission
okay.
song.
Will he?
Dot.
He will?
Are you down? Do you commit?
What song? I don't know what.
We did
word-
this little light of mine yesterday. You pick, Rylan. What's a song that we could just jam to in like 90 seconds?
Stairway to
on
Heaven,
the top
Led
of my head,
Zeppelin.
I don't know.
Can you do Stairway to Heaven,
90
dog?
seconds. That's 9 minutes.
Oh, wait. Stairway to Heaven mixes with what song?
Oh, in our lovely Deseret.
So you will
I
sing
could do that.
In Our Lovely Deseret to
To
Stairway to Heaven. To Stairway to Heaven. Okay.
Okay, all right.
So boom. So here's
We're
our
going to
goal.
need a lot of likes for this, people. A lot of super chats.
So that's the goal, is 15 super chats the next 15 minutes. Jonah will sing In Our Lovely Deseret, where the saints of God have met, to the tune of Stairway to Heaven, or the reverse. We'll figure it out. Okay. All right, keep going.
All right, so during your time as a church member, was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly taught that Joseph Smith changed his account of who appeared to him in the first vision several times, ... from a single personage, ... the Lord, ... in his 1832 account, while he still believed in a Trinitarian view of God, to, quote, the personages, ... God the Father, and, quote, Jesus Christ, end quote, ... in the 1838 account? After Joseph's beliefs changed about the Trinity, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
What?
There
Yeah,
was so much there. I don't even know
I gotta
where we're
start
even
over.
at.
No, I'll tell you exactly
Where
what
are we
it is.
even at right now?
I'll tell you exactly what it is. Generally, most John Dehlin serves most woke, social progressive, the blue church. Okay, socially progressive anti-Mormonism. However, there's one thing that all anti-Mormons can always unify under, as long as it does damage to the church.
Right.
And they figured out that the soundbite that, Joseph Smith was actually a secret Trinitarian before he changed his mind, sometimes riles up enough evangelicals that, you know what, we think they're stupid too, because anybody that believes in miracles is stupid. But their argument does do damage to the church. So look, just don't say anything. Let them say a little thing over there. We're going to feed the stupid people some, give them some cabbage so they'll stop barking, and then it's part of the recycled rumor mill, man. Somebody threw spaghetti against the wall in the 1850s. This stuck, or the 1950s. This stuck just barely enough that it stayed in the zeitgeist, hoping that they can squeeze as much out of it as possible. You were going to say something, Rylan.
Careful, John. Your bias is showing. Because,
yeah, right.
I mean, listen to the, I don't know. This just bothers me, this question. Listen, Joseph Smith changed his account of who appeared to him. I don't even think that's true, even if you take kind of a cynical approach, right? God appeared to him, Jesus Christ. And it doesn't change who appeared to him. The question is, was their Heavenly Father kind of introducing him? That kind of changes in some of the accounts, but I don't think you could say that who appeared to him is different. Anyway, I take issue with the way that question was written.
There's all kind, yeah.
And that's just one small issue on top of all the other
doozy.
things that we've mentioned with all the other questions as well.
The next one's a doozy. During your time as a church member, was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly taught that Joseph Smith allowed several, by the way, allowed.
Yeah, that's a word choice right there.
That has racist, the soft bigotry of low expectations, racist dude who's never had a black friend in 30 years written all over it, all right? Taught that Joseph Smith allowed several black men to receive the priesthood before Brigham Young took the privilege away. So at least he's saying it's a privilege to be baptized. And you gotta watch out. That driver's license can be taken away from you because driving is a privilege, not a right.
Wow.
Literally, again,
here
it
tonight. Sounds
like either a racist cop is talking or soft bigotry of low expectations is talking. I don't know, man. Move somewhere where there's more diversity than Sandy, Utah, or a Holiday, or whatever weird little eastern Salt Lake Shelf suburb the person that helped craft this sentence lives. It's just pathetic. Next one. During your time as a church member, it was your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly taught that Joseph Smith was a member of the Masonic Lodge, and that a significant percentage of the LDS temple ceremony as borrowed from the Masonic Lodge.
And what defines significant percent, John, of symbols? What percent of a ceremony? Can you quantify a significant percentage for us?
Well,
What's
by
your
the way,
p-value on that?
no, hold on. But at first, during your time as a church member, was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly taught that Joseph Smith was a member of the United States of America, and that a significant percentage of the LDS temple ceremony was stolen from the American Indians, as they also wore shoes? So shoes in the temple is
clothes.
You're giving away the secrets of the temple.
Yeah, seriously.
But he's presupposing that it's borrowed from the Masonic Lodge. Presupposing it in the question.
Now remember, Joseph Smith, we can't talk about all the details, but Joseph Smith instituted prayer circles in 1834. Joseph Smith was inviting women into prayer circles. So now the Masons have something kind of close to that, which he might have learned about in 1842, which is totally not relevant, but even then they wouldn't allow women in. So by any account, Joseph Smith is doing this without the Masons' help, and he's doing it taking it far further than the Masons ever did.
And by the way, taking it far farther than your secular buddies, all them science folk that were saying black people were inferior, not even human, right next to who's the second not human people? Oh yeah, the people we just eminent domained and manifest destiny out of their homeland called the American Indians. So before you act like the religious people are crazy and the bigots and the racists, you should see what scientists were saying about them back in the day. And Joseph Smith is saying like, no, come one, come all. Let's baptize them. Oh, by the way, let's free them. Give them their own land. Brigham Young saying those that have been mistreated. No, I think he literally said the most mistreated people were the American Indian and the American Indian, and he called them freemen or something. I don't remember the exact terminology used, right? But literally pronounced a curse upon those that mistreated these groups because he saw it with his own eyes. And everybody wants to take some things that he say out of context, but it's like, dude, he wasn't a shade of the people that surrounded him, whose team you are on, that you claim has. What's the
moral high ground?
The moral high ground. But what do they always call it? The all-seeing eye of history.
Yes, the eye at the end of history.
Yeah, the eye at the end of history.
James
The
Lindsay.
right side of history.
Yeah, yeah. No, Brigham Young was scolding Europeans for mistreating Native Americans. He was scolding his own people and telling them that God would punish them because of how they were mistreating other races in like the 1850s. So, whatever. John doesn't care. But all right, where are we at? Number 8?
8.
Number 8. Let's see. Is this number
or 9? Right.
You
9.
have tons of anti-Mormon buddies, Rylan. Like, does this stuff still carry water, bro? Like when you're at the pub just hanging out with the local anti-Mormons, dog. Like,
okay, I don't have like a ton of anti-Mormon. Well, I don't know if I would even classify.
You're wearing a $50 shirt. You have tons of anti-Mormon hipster friends.
$50. You think this is $50?
Yeah, you're probably a vegan.
in California? That is $50.
I am not.
No, I eat animal byproducts regularly.
Yes. No. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm curious about some of these references, though, on some of these more, like these more recent ones we've been doing.
They just go to just.
Does it go to church stuff or does it just Google?
Some of them go to the church website. Some of them just go to Google Books. And it's like, good luck, go find your reference in there. It's just like the PDF.
Oh, boy.
Okay, number 9.
Anyway.
During your time as a church member, was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly and significantly that a percentage of the general impression given by all and agreed to by everyone anonymously and unanimously taught that the Egyptian scrolls that Joseph Smith used to translate the Book of Abraham have been translated by modern Egyptologists, and that Joseph's translation has been deemed to be completely false, and that the name Abraham does not even appear anywhere in the scrolls?
I like how translate is in quote.
Yeah.
Translate. That's not a biased question.
All right, so let's paint a picture. How would...
No, but the scroll's not here. We don't have it. It was destroyed in a frickin' fire, the Great Chicago Fire, numbskull. This is the most incomplete argument. Like, this is like arguing over, did the Book of Jubilees even really exist? Because the Library of Alexandria burnt to the ground. We haven't found one since then. Like, I just...
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, though. They usually go after the what do you call it? Like the
Joseph
charts and
Smith
stuff
did
in there.
not leave. Joseph
right?
Smith did not leave
Facsimiles.
a
Facsimiles,
single.
thank you.
He didn't leave a single commentary. He didn't leave a single commentary about what was going through his mind when he was writing the facsimiles. Oh, hold on a second.
So we're going to do it here. And
we don't know what those drawings were for, and this is what I get tired of. This is what I get tired of. We get punished for being a transparent and record-keeping people. Like with the Joseph Smith papers, we are so confident that Joseph Smith was a prophet, and also that prophets can make mistakes, and it doesn't matter. He's still a prophet, and this still is a beautiful thing. And a bitter font can't bring forth sweet water, and a sweet font can't bring forth bitter water. And that come one, come all. We will compile on our own dime, paying top-notch scholars to scour the remnants of a persecuted people over 200 years to amass at great expense the Joseph Smith Papers Project, which can be seen for free. We don't have a Vatican library that's been sealed up for 2,500 years holding the journals of Galileo, all right? We're as fast as we can publishing open source, both critiques of our church, okay, and the original source materials. The original pseudo-history of Fawn Brody's No Man Knows My History. Do I still have the book?
It's over the shelf.
The BYU bookstore did what, Jonah?
They printed first of all, they sold No Man Knows My History in the BYU bookstore. And then when a rebuttal was written, they sold them both. Oh. So
in a sealed package deal. Oh, by the way, they also bought the rights to what other book that shows up in all the anti-Mormon arguments?
Was it
View of the Hebrews?
View of the Hebrews, yeah.
View of the Hebrews. Right. All the people that say, well, Joseph Smith just they copied View of the Hebrews, Solomon Spalding. Yeah. You know, they literally... Yeah, they buy View of the Hebrews and print it.
Yes.
And then now with the Joseph Smith papers, trying to push everything they can out there, okay, you get all these anti-Mormons trying to say, oh, yeah, well, this couldn't be because, you know, what's a straw man we can make about this? Oh, yeah, the translation's bad because an anti-Mormon said so. You know, and I get so sick and tired of a persecuted people. Joseph Smith is not here to say what he meant in half of those drawings with those facsimiles, whether or not he was just collaborating with his buddies and thought it was a cool thing that, not Willard Richards, W.W. Phelps was trying to create the Adamic language. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and see if he
reverse
could
engineer
the Adamic language. We don't know if he was like, hey, ever consider this, bro, while you're doing that side gig? You know, like, we don't know what was going through his head because you were too busy murdering him.
Oh, man.
Like, seriously, this is the epitome of victim blaming.
Now, the Abraham, if you were to have not been broadly taught, so the book of Abraham came from a bunch of scrolls that covered the floor, and they had facsimiles. Those were put under glass. Joseph didn't leave an account how he did it, translates the book of Abraham, which we have in the Pearl of Great Price. Years later, the church doesn't hide anything. 50 years later,
some
there's a great
fragments
Chicago
of
file.
a different scroll, because the original scroll in the original primary sources, if you're a real historian that actually uses primary sources and not recycled tropes on ex-Mormon subreddit or these silly green books that they sell at the Mormon Research Society.
No, this is a problem for John Dehlin.
It said it went from the parlor when unrolled all the way into the kitchen. We have fragments and scraps left over from other parts of the Book of the Dead. Meanwhile, the scroll that he was using to translate, which is most likely a catalyst for revelation anyway, was like 20 feet long.
Okay, but this gets worse. So, John Dehlin, you don't want to go down this path. Antis, let me tell you why your Book of Abraham argument is actually quite a bad idea. Okay, if these were the scrolls that constituted the Book of Abraham, and they don't mention Abraham, and we didn't lose any at all, and these are actually them, and it's nothing like the Book of Abraham that we have, then you have a bigger problem.
Right.
Because you know what else is not in the Book of Abraham? Egyptian human sacrifice, the plains of Olashem, the god Elkanah, right? The Terah and the fathers were idol worshippers, that the Egyptian empire was conducting human ritual sacrifice under their expatriate priests in the environs of their empire. If Joseph Smith didn't know all that from an actual Abrahamic scroll, where the heck did he know all those things?
Wait, but now I got to pause. Hold on a second. There's 1 minute left. I just got a question from the Dove's Nest. Have we reached our goal?
We have reached it.
We've reached the goal?
Wow.
Oh,
I am
we've
shocked.
reached the goal, my man. There it is. Who's that hot chick in the corner, bro?
That's
my wife.
Yeah. She's supposed to come on screen like Vanna White, you know, and she'd be like, here's your guitar, sir. You know, and then just, you know, we'll work on that. We'll work on that next time, you know. Ooh, look at you, dude. You get tuned by ear, bro.
Okay, all right. So I don't know what order we do this in here.
Jonah, not to make you nervous, but Charlotte's watching. So.
Oh, jeez, don't make me nervous.
I know.
Jeez, the pretty one's watching. I gotta. Oh, let's see. Stairway to Heaven is. Sorry, I can't believe my hat on.
Yeah, you gotta get real sexy and like really start looking angsty, singer-songwriting angst, bro.
Oh no, I'm up here, right?
And then you gotta sing Donald Trump style. Just be like, in the stairway.
In a lovely desert, where the saints of God have met. There's a multitude of children all around. They're generous and brave. They have precious souls to save. They must listen and obey the gospel's sound. Hark, hark. Let's see. Hark, hark, 'tis children's music with a children's voices. How sweet that the children may. No, then let's see. Let's do the rocker part, right? Let's go.
Yeah.
That the children may live long and be beautiful and strong. Drink no liquor and they eat, but a very little meat. And when in innocence and love, and like the angels up above, they sing with happy hearts they meet. With happy hearts they meet.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
In a lovely Deseret.
That was awesome.
Wow.
There
That
you
was
go.
Amazing.
Oh, that was epic, dog.
That was awesome.
We got saints. We got satanic panic rock and roll. Welcome to Ward Radio Wigwam. Also, it looks like the Anti-Mormon subreddit just figured out that we're taking John Dehlin's
robust
pseudo survey here because we just got a bump of an extra 100 viewers. There's always that second bump when they're like, "Hey, no, don't you dare go after the patron saint of all things pseudoscientific and anti-Mormon." You know, so welcome, guys. If you want to insult us live, we will read them by super chatting.
You're counting at the end. We've only got 4 questions left. You guys have missed it. They're gonna have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you want me to read all these super chats that got Jonah?
Yeah. Hit all the super chats up.
Okay. Rachel Hudson said, "Sing it." Sean Grover says, "Once I was a snowman with actions." Mary Lou Howard says, "Must hear this." Nate Dogg, "Sing, baby, sing." Also, like and subscribe. Thank you for the reminder. Fogg says, "The next time DJ Butler comes on, the super chat goal should be Butler and Barnes performing a duet. Maybe the devil comes down to Georgia." That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Sort of Laban says, "Shut up and give me the lovely Deseret already." Mike Bell, "Gotta hear this mashup. Should be epic anyway."
Mike.
And it was epic. Fogg, "For the super chats to count for the goal total, I think we need to tap on the goal icon, but that's just a guess."
Okay.
Fidget the Crazy, "If you ever want a random cello solo for future lives, let me know." That's cool. I played the cello for like 6 months.
That'd go great with Stairway.
Wow.
Cello solo.
Cool.
Pizza Doctor, "As an actual doctor of pizza, I resent Dylan's PhD cheapening my degree, as well as the very real olfactory ethics politics of smell of Cambridge." Sean Grover, "Dehlin is no researcher. His whole identity is that of persecutor. The lack of rigor is evident."
Oof.
Charlotte Barnes, do you know her, Jonah?
She's a cutie. I like her.
I
She's
love
hot.
when my Jonah sings. Please send a few more super chats so I can hear him. I miss you, Jonah.
Oh, warm
Aw.
I
fuzzies.
miss you too.
Mike Bell, "Charlotte has spoken. Dr. Barnes must sing." Rachel Hudson, "Singing
Mike.
super chats." The Dove's Nest says, "Sing." Charlotte says, "Jonah and I will be at Roots Tech in March in Salt Lake. Expo Hall is free for anyone on Saturday. Hope to see you at our Turning Little Hearts booth."
Oh, that's right. Wow, doing some self promotion here in the super chats.
Jackson Wells, "Remember Joseph decking man with plates?"
Oh,
Yeah.
Joseph decking a man with plates.
With
I
the
think he was
plates.
holding
Sure.
it in a bag and they like clubbed him. By the way, who was that? Have we ever tracked down who was decked with the plates? Like, that's a sick scar. Like, if
Yeah.
you, dude, that's a scar worth keeping,
Yeah,
bro.
that's a good question. Who was
Like,
the
you
dude?
know the Germans that would fence in the 30s And then when they would purposely allow themselves to get scars on their face, and then they would rub horse manure in it to keep it from like sealing. So
You
that
say this
get
like
big,
everyone
thick
knows
scars.
this.
Oh
Like,
no,
what are you
no,
talking about? I don't know
German
this.
fencing scars. Yeah, they're
Carter's
called.
like, yeah, you know this, like, and then this
No.
random.
So like German, no, because they thought that their faces looked really terrifying. So it's called German fencing scars. It's called a dueling scar. Here it is right here. I'm putting it on Wikipedia. So dueling scars, having been seen as a badge of honor since as early as 1825, known variously as Monsieur scars or the bragging scar, a smite or a schmitti.
Wow.
Dueling scars were popular amongst upper-class Germans and Austrians involved in academic fencing at the time of the 20th century. And look, so they would purposely, when they got the
that's
scar,
so cool though.
yeah, they wouldn't wear the protective helmet over their cheeks. They would wear it only over their eyes. And if they got a fencing scar, instead of letting it heal rapidly and stitching it, they would actually augment it and keep it from healing. Some of them would even take like a mixture of like clay and manure to keep it from sealing. So the scar would get bigger and more pronounced. And you have to look at some of these, dude.
That is so cool.
So dueling, scars,
Can we all
images.
agree? Can we all agree this is one of the coolest things you've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean, have you guys seen Poldark?
Poldark?
All my ladies in the
Look at
chat
that
know
right
what I'm
there.
talking about.
There's a guy getting fencing scars right there.
Dude, that is so
Oh, wait,
cool.
no. Here we go. Wait, hold on. So look, there's a fencing scar right there, and this is how they would do it, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Look at
My
this
wife's
crazy.
listening.
There
Charlotte,
it is.
Can I have one of
That's
these?
what they would do to get a fencing scar, bro.
Dude.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's dedication.
That's cool though.
Jeez. Okay, back to the chats.
Well, just it. So Salt Lake Tribune, when it's writing its next article on masculinity and how Ward
Is gonna
Radio,
play that clip
how
right there.
Ward Radio encourages people to be masculine. This is our take it to the bank definition of Mormon
Of
masculinity as espoused by the standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There, did you get your soundbite? Yeah.
Okay, Charlotte said sing Jonah. Mike Bell says epic. You want epic? Fogg says you need to just
Mike.
clip Jonah singing and post it on YouTube with zero context.
With zero context. Say
Nate-
this is a new hymn.
When's
approved.
the album coming out?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Maybe I'll put a link in my second book. That'll be bonus, a link or something.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Nate Dogg says I feel like a diamond in an ice storm right now. Hashtag 6 to midnight.
All right.
Polly Nikes 2000. Carden, you should reach out and connect with the piano guys as they are faithful members of our faith.
Word.
Cool dudes.
Gonna get her done. Oh, you know
Yeah.
him?
No, but their music is, they're very talented dudes.
Word. Is John Schmidt one of them still, or was?
I think
or-
so, yeah.
Okay, cool. Keep going.
Okay, we're caught up.
Oh, rock on.
All right, where were we? We've only got a couple of these left now that our anti-Mormon friends have joined us. During your time as a church member, was it your general experience that both investigators and members were broadly taught? Were they sat in an interrogation room with their eyelids pulled open like Clockwork Orange and forced to listen to the fact that Joseph Smith's final incarceration in Carthage jail was the direct result of his destruction of the Nauvoo Expositor printing press, which exposed him to the public as a secret polygamist after he'd been publicly denying his polygamous practices?
Goodness.
Come on!
So much in that question.
I
is
don't know what that
ridiculous.
says.
Were you taught broadly that Martin Luther King was assassinated as the natural consequence of being a person that deserved it because he was going against the government of the United States of America and also associating with the communists who at that time were trying to overthrow the government, and he deserved it? Were you taught that? Because if you weren't,
I love this. It's like, okay, so listen to this thread. Joseph Smith's final incarceration in Carthage jail was the direct result of his destruction of the Nauvoo printing press. Why? Well, because it exposed him to the public as a secret polygamist after he had been publicly denying his polygamous practice. This is like this thread. It just goes and goes, and you better say no.
have you ever seen Minority Report?
It's so ridiculous.
Ever seen the movie? I think it was Minority Report.
Yeah.
Where when he
Great
comes
show.
in on the first, crime scene and he says, "This doesn't make sense. This is called an orgasm of evidence." It was Colin Farrell's character. Was Colin Farrell in Minority Report? or was that a different-
Sure.
Okay, cool. And he comes, he says, "Nah, this is an orgasm of evidence. Whenever it's this much evidence, this easy, like
Something's
something's
wrong.
up, something's wrong, right?" It's this question is this question is just an orgasm of Mormon-influenced cultural Marxism. This is a wet dream of ex-Mormon subreddit. It's not a historical question.
Do you think he was given like a limit on the amount of questions he could have, so he just tried to like steamroll everything
6 in one?
Yeah.
But every time you do it, diminishes the power. It removes any type of explanatory power.
No, that was gone a long time ago.
Ryland's like, you're still thinking there's a shred of that left?
Yeah, none of that left.
All right, number what? 11.
Yeah, let's hit 11, dude.
Oh boy.
Okay.
How
Number
many
11.
are there?
There's only 13. We're almost done.
Let's see. 11.
Well, there's 26 if you answer yes to any of them, right?
Wait, here we go.
Oh, I only saw the first 13 too.
Right.
I
No,
don't
I'm
think
saying you have to answer follow-up questions.
Oh, this
if you
one.
answer.
This one. Oh my gosh. Almost. Overall, do you feel like the LDS Church has been fully honest with its membership and investigators about its history?
It has begged us to study its history. It is so desperate for people to know its history. It prints all of its history for free. And if you can't get the book, it's on the internet. And we send out 40,000 missionaries every single year begging you to read Joseph Smith history that talks about the treasure digging, to read their gospel talk at X-Ays. Except for all the ad nauseum BYU studies articles that have been written on them, and the seminary classes, and the church discussion groups, and the firesides, and the, oh my gosh, our patriarch was a descendant of Joseph Smith and had like somebody from his family come in. I don't remember who it was, but they had like one of the boxes that the golden plates was carried in when it was being hidden from one place to another. So not only did we get to put our hands in our steak in the box where the golden plates were, but you could measure its size and know that, oh wait, if it was only this tall and this long and this wide and made out of plates that had the appearance of gold, it could only be 40 to 60 pounds and therefore actually was carryable. Meanwhile, these knuckleheads keep repeating the trope that, well, plate's too heavy. And if it was really as big as they said, it would weigh 250, 300 pounds. So, you know, it's just, I don't, we couldn't
You
be
can't
more.
do anything. You can't
There's
look at
just
you
too
do
much history for these knuckleheads to process,
you
and
can't
since
do
they're
it.
too stupid to understand, they say it wasn't taught to them. It is the epitome. Actually, I shouldn't say stupid. Too lazy. It is the epitome of lazy learning.
Yeah. All right. Now this is going to tick off. Okay, here we go. 12. Do you feel like the historical information above is important when evaluating the validity of the LDS Church's truth claims? How do you Morse code your bias any harder?
Joseph Smith died. He was murdered for that. There's nothing more sincerely held. There's not a more sincerely held religious belief than the one you will die for. So yes, I feel the historical information is important when evaluating the validity of the LDS truth claims, including the fact he died for them. Like that, there's no more sincerely held religious beliefs. You want to talk informed consent? These people died. The apostles died, whether he did or not, died going to their graves, believing that Christ was risen. The inference to the best explanation is that he was risen based off the behavior of everybody who saw his risen body allegedly afterwards, because none of them would have done what they did for a hoax.
All right.
Mic
13.
drop.
13.
That was
Ryland, I'm going to ask you directly, and I want you to answer this.
Oh, boy.
Do you feel like you would have made different life decisions, like your conversion, mission, marriage, occupation, children, tithing, service, if you had been given all of this information mentioned above?
He's asking them to change their lives and leave the church. He's asking them to make a different life decision. He's asking them to stop paying tithing to the church and pay it to him.
Because this guy, he's serious as a heart attack. He gets behind a mic and a camera, and he's like, Dr. John Dehlin, listen to this clown.
Like, what the actual hell? Like, you want to change your spouse and your children? What?
Do you feel you would have made different decisions? You can't lampoon this. How do you lampoon something so
Like,
ridiculous?
literally, this is the snarky backdoor way of saying, this is what the baddie MAGA conservatives do. They convert. They believe in God and not in science. They serve missions, get married, have occupations that aspire to have a single income with a woman that can stay at home like all the other bigots. Children? Oh, can't have any of those. And if you do, it better abort them. Tithing? Service? To your fellow man? We'll criticize the church for not doing enough service, but then when we can lampoon the church for requiring service of its members, all hands on deck, baby.
How does this guy retain credibility?
Well, because people want
Because
to
he
hate.
is promoting the agenda that people like.
It's
That's really
crazy to me.
Is scientific credibility is out the window. This
Is it really,
such
though?
well, I as far as anyone who's credible, I think, yeah, I think so.
How so? Can you back up that claim?
Well, I have. Well, I guess just go watch the video I made about it. Well, that's the
Okay.
thing. I just don't think there's enough exposure to his actual research. That's why we got to make videos and talk about what he's doing, because then you see the type of questions he's asking. You see the agenda laid out, and then you see that he also
Yes.
got a PhD because of it.
Well,
And then you're
without this episode, without Brad Whitbeck tipping us off to this and us doing this episode, this would have ended up as an episode serious as a heart attack. John Dehlin would have said, "Well, statistics show,
Oh my God.
studies show, we did a study, and it shows. I'm a doctor, and it shows that most people answered when asked if the church was transparent. Most people said no. They said the church did not, teach this stuff. Blah, 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 and he would recite
If
this
he does
garbage.
that, though, maybe he won't do that. Maybe he won't. But
Well, I
if he
hope
does,
he won't anymore.
Well, I hope so. Honestly, if he was going to do it, there's a
But
serious
why
problem
else-
with that.
Why else do this? What's his motivation?
I don't know.
Oh,
and
you're
I'm very
such a
curious. Yeah,
statistician.
I don't know. I'm very curious to find out. Like,
Well, no,
when
we
you look
all
at these
know
questions, like,
we all know the motivation, dude. He's lacking relevance. In fact, we're probably boosting his profile even by doing this a little bit beyond what we should.
is he though? Doesn't he still get?
But he's
thousands of
not as
views?
much. No, his viewership has tanked, at least in terms of
He's
monthly views. He's got an insane amount of subs.
He's being
because-
crushed by Belissa Schmenbel.
Yeah,
Belissa
yes.
Schmenbel.
he's not as good at cult porn as some of the female anti-Mormons are, and so he's not getting in on that. And so literally, like, he has a very expensive lifestyle to maintain. This guy has lived in the upper middle
Does he?
class of, he's been making six figures off
makes-
this for,
Yes.
Well, we talked about that, but
yeah.
like, he
Yeah.
actually spends that money. He's not like, I don't know, investing it.
oh, bro, he lives
lives
paying
the rich-
tithing.
he lives in the
Yeah,
top.
like, good point.
What the amount of money he makes off of Mormon stories that doesn't include the undisclosed money already puts him in the top 1/10 of
I'm sure.
people
Utah.
in Utah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is living.
He's not spending it on his grandchildren.
He's. Ooh, that was a savage.
Wow.
hit.
No, that was bad.
Somebody had to do the
Oh.
math on that one,
That's all right, I
but
should've
it
said.
checks. So,
Wow.
no joke. Like, he's living, ironically, in the name of defending the poor against the wealthy church, in the top 1/10
But, like-
of the top 1% of Utah.
Does he drive a fancy car? Does he have like a mansion of a house?
It doesn't
Do you
matter.
know?
He's making hundreds of
Okay,
thousands of
good.
dollars
Sure,
a year.
sure.
I mean,
He
he's
could
making-
stuff it in a boot underneath his garage. He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Yeah, right.
So,
And yet he's not relevant. So which is it? Is he?
well, you have to
Oh,
stay
well.
relevant, and there's
Okay.
enough there. He's got enough. I mean, what's funny is here's a stat, and I have to find this original study. But everybody thinks that, like, making it in Hollywood is all the conservative parents in Utah, like, they're always afraid when their son moves to Hollywood and says, "I want to be a sound guy in Hollywood, Mom," and but I want him to have a stable job, or I'm gonna go be an artist and sell my paintings, or I'm gonna go start a band, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And all the conservative Mormon mommies freak out and call me up and say, Carden, is he gonna be starving? Is he? But he's not oppressed. He's not gay. Name that movie. Name that movie.
I don't know.
Oh, you got to go look it up. Dad, I want to be a writer. But you're not oppressed. You're not gay. Man, every time I
need
make
to
a
know.
movie quote,
That's a great
every
joke,
time I
though.
make a movie quote, nobody's smelling what I'm stepping in. But anyway, so all these, conservative parents will call me like, well, can he really do it? Did this job check out, right? And there was this awesome study that was done by, I don't know if it was Billboard 100, if it was like Sony Music or who it was, but they actually went down like all the royalties that they pay out to bands and what put them on the map. And basically, if you get a top 100 hit like once, you will make a livable wage off of your music according to the whatever their stat was, the median income. I got to find the study because I've mentioned this before. But basically, the interesting stat was this, that the number one reason why musicians stop making money, if they've reached that one threshold of like a top 100 hit or whatever their threshold was, I don't remember what it was, that if the band doesn't break up for the rest of their lives, there'll be a band that makes enough money to just live off their music.
Wow.
And so your number one job as a musician, once you've made a top 100 hit, is if you can just keep the band together. So you ask, oh, well, is Aerosmith relevant? Bro, you seen their concert tickets? They're still selling out, maybe not stadiums, but they're selling out crowds. They're still like, okay, so like I played basketball with Kyle Bowler, right? Quarterback for the Ravens. Dude, he stopped being a starter like after his 3rd to 5th year, like all other quarterbacks.
He's still making
but
money.
he stayed with like the Ravens and with other professional teams as a 2nd and a 3rd string QB for like another near decade. Why? Because even at 2, 3, 5 million a year, he's not the 20 million a year QB he is, but you add up a lot of 5 millions and you get more in those last 7 years than you did in the first 3. So yeah, John Dehlin's doing the exact same thing.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super chats.
Oh, hit it.
Polly Nike's 2000 says President Andrew Jackson was also famous for dueling and racing horse carts around Washington, D.C. He died with like 3 musket balls in his body.
Look, that was just back when men were men. Like, that's all I can say. You know? Actually, I got to tell you, though, it's really sad when you watch old film of duels. Like, seeing dudes get shot in a duel is actually a really disheartening thing. You know, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, what a waste of a life. You know, it's hardcore. Keep going, babe.
Through the Mist says more entertaining debunking, some small channels to put on your radar. All in favor Latter-day Lion next to big channels. Can't wait for Ward Media.
Boom.
Ward Media.
Yeah, actually, those 2 channels should reach out. We're going to be highlighting some people here that I found that have small presences, but are doing some good stuff. One of them is Sort of Laban. I DM'd him like when he had like 26 subscribers. I was like, hey, how'd I get this off? Hey, Ether's Elephant, he's here.
That's right.
I was one of your first 100 subs, right?
Were you?
I think so.
When I was first publishing stuff, I would publish it and just not look at it because I didn't know how people were going to react. I thought I was going to get a bunch of haters, which I did, until Thoughtful Faith kind of promoted me, and then I got some nice people.
Yeah,
But,
no, I
Yeah,
remember.
guys, if you're not subscribed to Ether's Elephant, this is good content.
It's Coriantimus pachyderms.
And it's not going to flood your feed because he takes time and he edits each one. I mean, the analysis on the errors in the Book of Mormon,
which you were in.
I was in that one. He calls me up, tells me, I thought, that is really original. I've never heard of this take before. It's good stuff. Go subscribe to Ether's Elephant.
I'd appreciate it.
You should do it. He deserves it.
Boom shakalaka. And then
Samuel Skeen says, Patriarch descended from Hiram, not Joseph. My family probably brought those artifacts for you to see them.
Oh.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Rock on. Something like that.
Polly Nike's 2000, fake Dr. John Dehlin knows precisely nothing of experimental research, reliability, validity, psychometric testing, and confounding variables.
Amen.
Now we should say,
Well
and
said.
maybe I'll put this in the chat while I'm here in the Ward Radio chat, but I'm going to put in here the actual EIN number for John Dehlin's nonprofit, so that if any of you would like to go see for yourself how the money flows, you can go check it out. So give me a second. I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, okay.
Alicia Brown says, I'm in Australia and was able to find all this stuff so easy. Why is it so hard for them to find it? Good question.
As Cardin said, lazy learners, right?
Well, no, that was Donald Trump said that.
Yeah.
Aprendizaje.
That's what's happening to this church. We have terrible missionaries sister missionaries, even the elders are sisters, honestly. They're talking to their families once a week like a bunch of pansies. On day one of my administration, I will have the Department of the Missionaries immediately put an end to weekly phone calls. We're going to make missionaries great again.
But
We're
Mr.
going to
Trump,
baptize
But Mr.
so many. Yeah.
but Mr. Trump, you're supposed to be like, excuse me.
Excuse me. Yeah. Oh, I see.
But Mr. Trump, excuse me.
Okay, that was awesome. Mike Bell says, "Hola" from the old guy, Rylan.
Yeah. Hi, Mike. You're
Yeah,
my
what's
ward.
up?
You're my home ward.
Nice.
So,
Also,
hi.
here's one other
Hola.
thing too. I'm gonna start a new goal that was inspired by Ether's elephant because he may only be here. We're rounding up and we're already into overtime. We only got 15 minutes left, but if we can get super chats. Any super chats, because in the last one we only got 12 out of 15 because I actually had said teal and higher, but I'm making them any super chat here. So even the $1.99 ones, they will be read. The super chat will be read. The super chat will be read in a Donald Trump voice.
This is great. Guys,
what I'm
and guys, if you have suggestions for
So make
show
it
topics,
long. Make it long.
Oh boy.
if you guys have suggestions for show topics or things that you've seen you want us to debunk or any questions, send it to us in super chats. We read them all. So what should we cover?
You guys need to do. So I was just digging into Dan McClellan a lot. I have a video coming out soon.
Really? What
McClellan.
inspired you to go after Dizan?
Well, am I
McClellan?
going after him? You'll have to tune in to find out. But okay,
Did he
so,
go after you? Did he debunk an Ether's elephant video?
No. And I will predict that even if my video somehow gets lots of views, he's not even going to touch it. I don't think he's even going to take a second look at it. But he's very influential, active member of the church, who is a biblical scholar, super influential. And I think we need to talk about him because he always
Hit it.
He loves.
Let's talk about it.
We want to talk about him right now.
Well, what do you want to say?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Well,
Because
So
I have
you
my
think-
theories. I actually.
Okay.
I kind of share a lot of just Jacob Hansen's thoughts on this.
Do you? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, wait. Well, let's talk about why this is even a big deal. Because, so he's
We'll
a
give us the
convert to the
Reader's
church.
Digest version, and then we'll finish with John
Okay,
Dehlin,
here we
and then
go.
you can start reading Trump chats.
Sounds good. He joined the church, convert, left, went on a mission. Loved studying the scriptures on his mission. So naturally, he came back and studied massage therapy. I'm just kidding. No, he did.
What?
He did.
Yeah,
study
he's a
massage
certified massage therapist.
Yes.
I read that on a live stream.
No,
once.
he ended
Yeah.
up getting his degree, getting a couple master's degree. Eventually, found a PhD program that fit what he wanted to do, and now he's super famous on TikTok. And now he's kind of transitioned to YouTube. He has over 100,000 subscribers. People watch him every day, and the anti-Mormons love him so much because his favorite.
Well, what breed of anti-Mormon?
John
Because
Dehlin.
the evangelical anti-Mormons.
Oh, they hate him. Yes,
Hate him.
because he hates. He doesn't hate the Bible.
Like Ruslan, KD, can't stand inspiring philosophy. I think he blocked. I think Dan McClellan does
yes.
block people too easily. I
I thought
think
inspiring philosophy blocked him, or
that. Well, he says he blocked me in the
whatever.
thumbnail or whatever.
sure.
but, Okay.
Anyway, well, he famously likes to say data over dogma. And because of that, the weird thing about him is, on one hand, you kind of cheer him on for the stuff he's going after the evangelicals for with their interpretations of the Bible, saying it's infallible, for example.
Uh-huh.
On the other hand, some of the evangelicals are like, well, but you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Or, sorry, you're a Mormon. How come you don't go after your Mormon stuff? And then he turns around and says, oh, yeah, well, the data doesn't support the Book of Mormon either. And so
Which I would argue is like wildly not true and ignorant.
well,
but,
he says the data don't support fill in the blank all the time.
I mean, the
Don't support
episodes I've done
resurrection,
with
for example.
Jerry Grover and Josh Gailey, people with just as many PhDs and master's degrees, and not just specifically those two, but the thousands of articles that have talked about incredible evidences and correlations between the Book of Mormon timeline and stalactite data in
Great
Mesoamerica,
stuff.
Of cement and deforestation data coming out of Mesoamerica as well. Even, for heaven's sakes, pollen sample cores taken out of the earth, like from 1,500 years ago. Like this cannot be swept under the rug. It's just like, oh, the data don't support it.
Oh, but
because
they do sweep it under the rug, because Dan McClellan is one of the academics. See, that's the thing. I don't know. He seems to want to fit so much into the world of academia that he throws maybe his religion under the bus.
No, that's the vibe I get, is that he is so desperate to be liked by academia. Just so desperate to be loved.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's the vibe you get.
Yeah,
That's the vibe I get
You gotta
hard.
okay. Just I'll release the video maybe tomorrow. I don't know, but
Speak freely, bro. Don't. I mean, these are your opinions. You're allowed to have them.
No, I'm
speaking curious
freely.
to see what you think, and then I'll respond with like kind of what I'm thinking, because I haven't formulated my opinions all the way yet.
Here's the kind of thesis of the video, if you will. I think the way he talks about his biblical scholarship misrepresents his field as sounding like it's scientifically solid when it is not. And I talk about that in the video. So point number one, the data do not support X, Y, or Z, Book of Mormon, resurrection, fill in the blank.
HMD works at establishing a consensus, but that consensus can also be very flawed and stifle what forensics have been able to conquer later on. One of the biggest examples being what, Jonah? Testament of Naphtali, I
Testament
think
of
you said?
Naphtali?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure. For hundreds of years, they laughed it away, and then they found it in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Oops.
Yeah. Oh,
And
it's just a
blew
forgery.
away.
It's a forgery from the 1700s until
It wasn't.
until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I think guilty of academic arrogance. Yes.
Overconfident with his data.
Oh, okay, possibly.
And practically speaking, he seems to be ashamed of his beliefs.
Okay.
That's the vibe. This is exactly the vibes.
Practically speaking. Like, maybe he's not actually ashamed, but the result's the same. He refuses to talk about it.
Same.
He shies away from it. He says things that go in direct contrast to his faith.
For clicks.
Okay, well, now hold on a
popularity.
second. Now, okay.
For clout.
So now this is not just devil's advocate. It's just, I mean,
Please, bring it on.
these are very harsh claims, right? And full disclosure,
Well, are they, though? Are they that
It's-
harsh?
in niceness culture, yes.
Okay.
This is horrible.
I don't think that. Yeah,
But
anyway.
well, so here's the deal. So first off, I think you're validated in your emotional reaction, and I think it's shared by a lot of people. However, and my opinions are not formulated on this. Okay, I've super chatted him many a time in many of his live streams, and he's agreed to come on this program.
Why hasn't he?
April, he said he's releasing a book, and he said, "Oh,
Isn't it out already?
in the." Dude, this,
I'm a little skeptical
This
that
was-
the same guy
Yeah,
who
let me
spent
finish. Let me
15
finish,
hours
okay?
on Mormon Stories podcast and another like 2
Doesn't-
hours
doesn't
with
have
Zelf
30
on a
minutes.
shelf can't take
what would
a
the
few
motivations
seconds.
be? You're saying what would the motivations be?
I'm just saying.
It
yeah.
is self-evident that these people are anti-Mormon, and if you really are a convert to the faith who has covenanted to build the kingdom and do his best to mourn with those that mourn and comfort those that stand in need and comfort, you would understand the role that faith would play in this. So why would you try and destroy people's faith for social clout? Like what? Like what's the motivation? So I can understand you saying what's the motivation, all right? So we're not in his head, and he can always run from it saying, I'm not going to discuss my personal beliefs, right?
Which he
Which
does.
he's entitled to. He's entitled to. And it is frustrating, but we're not entitled to that information that only him and God could know. And I have noted this. Do you believe that Jordan Peterson is correct when he says that it doesn't matter if you believe because you are what you act like you believe?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. You'll notice something about Dan McClellan. Dan McClellan, to me, and the reason why my opinion is not fully formed yet, is because I'm used to swimming in waters with very controversial people. I'm one of Kweku's better friends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, I get heart palpitations with half of his tweets. I just have to shut off Twitter some days, right? But he's a dear friend, and I love him, and I know where his heart really lies in comparison to what socially conservative members will say about him and so on and so forth. And this is something that I notice about Dan McClellan. First off, he's graciously agreed to come on our show. He's been a little bit busy with his book release, but he said sometime in like March or April or something like that. And that's coming up quickly. We're talking within 6 to 8 weeks. In fact, at this point, it's up to my due diligence to email him and establish a better connection. But anti-Mormon evangelicals will come at us asking about Dan McClellan. Social conservatives, members of our church, the Frogmos, will come after us asking about Dan McClellan. And I think, in an unfinished opinion, because I'm not going to finish my opinion until I actually have a chance to talk with him and get a vibe mano to mano, right? I think he's a little bit of a Rorschach test. And I think that sometimes members of the church need to be very careful as to why they are so frustrated with him. And I'm not calling you out individually. I'm just saying as a whole. Because, did you see him on the Danny Jones podcast? Okay. Ammon Hillman, a guy that wrote a book now that goes for like $2,000 on eBay, that basically the thesis was that Romans use tons of drugs and most of the spiritual references in the Bible are mistranslations of drug abuse, and basically we should all be using X, Y, or Z substances. Yeah, it's a very pro-drug book, right? Well, he comes on, he's like, dude, it's all about that purple man, and he says all this stuff about ancient Greek manuscripts of the biblical era. And Dan McClellan gets invited on because he did a debunking by Danny Jones like a week later. And he was asked, frankly and directly to his face, sitting no further away than you right now sit from me, okay, was asked, oh, well, what denomination do you adhere to? He says, oh, yeah, I'm a Mormon. I'm an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he said it completely, just matter of fact. He did not shy away from it. Okay. Good. So that right there for me neutered a little bit, and I raised my eyebrow. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see what he does with this. And he says, yeah, I got baptized. I served a mission. Behind me hangs my Brigham Young University diploma, which unfortunately I noticed he has taken down recently. So Dan, really? let's rebuild that studio to include that. No, I'm just kidding. But let me finish. Go ahead. And he said, some people get really, really angry when they find out that I did that, and that, oh, well, you're just representing Mormonism and you're just this and that. But he's like, my diploma is literally hanging behind me. So this is just what I've noticed, and the reason why my opinion is not formed yet. I think, yeah, he is manipulating those gray areas that can exist. I think, of course, he is. We manipulate gray areas. You do, Jonah does, every good showman does, right? Yes. But what I've noticed is you can take to the bank any one of his debunkings. He's not coming after us. He's going after the Christian Protestant right in America. Yep. If there is anything the Christian Protestant right in America says, he is a high priest in the blue church of woke, baby. He is going to go after that like crazy. And sometimes when he steps on sacred cows that we share with Protestants and the Mormons get angry, it's not as much an indictment of him as much as it causes self-reflection in me to say, why am I angry? Because Mormonism has two problems. We have a blue church that is begging to be academically secular, depressed, angry, blue-haired, cat lady, feminist, nihilist, addicted to Xanax, with their 15th booster jab, right? You know what I'm saying? We got those people over here. But we also have over here that's a problem? We got social conservatives that are Republican before they're anything else. Jim Bennett, you know what I'm saying? He says it surprises me how many people are Republican first and Mormon second, all right, when he was involved in Republican politics in Utah and his father was a big Republican. And we got frogmos that are just so desperate to be Protestants, and we forget we are the rebellion against Protestantism. It's okay when he wants to debunk that evangelical who says, well, you look at this river behind us. It was carved by Joseph of Egypt. And he says, no, actually, here's the architectural plans of this irrigation ditch that was dug in 1858 by the government after the Napoleonic Wars. And it's an irrigation ditch, not a river. Checkmate, don't pass go, right? And you go look up that dude that he debunked. and that pastor that was reading, guiding some biblical archaeology tour that just got debunked by Dan McClellan, go Google Mormon on that dude's page, and there's 15 videos of like why Mormons aren't Christians, why they. And so it's like you have to ask yourself, I don't believe that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but yeah, when he goes after some of those sacred cows of biblical archaeology, and by the way, some of the debunkings he's done do not carry water. I'm actually waiting to talk to him about some of these and be like, why did you say this? Because like, actually, this seemed pretty sound. Like this over here was knucking butts, but this actually seemed pretty sound. And I don't want to dump on the guy or anything.
No, yeah.
But so like, I sometimes wonder why we get that reaction to Dan McClellan, and if we don't need to reanalyze it. For sure. Okay, sure, I got beef with him on some things, and I think we will discuss it. But I think he's also a little bit of a Rorschach test.
Okay. So I think there's a lot of agreement going on here. Probably more so than you think. So my main issue, what I was trying to say, is all of that can be true, but kind of the main thesis of the video is his overconfidence in what he's presenting. So whether he's debunking evangelicals, whether he's debunking us, which you mentioned all the times he's debunking evangelicals, but you didn't mention how many times he's gone on John Dehlin's podcast and Zelf on the Shelf.
It's true.
And he
went on Zelf on the Shelf?
He did. He's also done debunkings, essentially, of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because he's trying to be so academic, he has to debunk everybody. Now, he mostly focuses on the Bible because that's where his expertise is. Anyway, long story short, I agree with most of what you're saying. But my problem is he speaks too confidently. And you even brought that up. Like, some of the stuff he's saying, you think,
we're going to talk about a couple of these things.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, like you can watch his stuff, you can enjoy his stuff when you want to enjoy it.
Trying to use the Bible to like justify abortion is just that was knucking futz for me. I was just like, wow, okay.
But you have to take what he's saying with a grain of salt. That's the problem I have with him. That's the problem I have with him.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Using the Bible.
It's like that goes completely against all Judeo-ethic.
What are you talking about?
Judeo-Christian ethics, right?
Bit of a stretch.
Now, sure, yes, ancient Jews may have had a different conception, and Muslims and so on and so forth. And this, though, is where even if that were true, Dan, which I'm willing to accept, maybe in all of our canonized works there is no official indictment. There sure as hell is in Modern Revelation and Russell M. Nelson. Russell M. Nelson made the talk, and if that's what you believe and espouse, then why are you trying to justify this if not to score points with social progressives?
Right. Well, he himself has ran under the Democratic Party for office 2 times, but didn't win. He ran for the Senate in Utah and the House in Utah. And okay, so that's kind of what I'm talking about here. The problem with him is he claims to not have an agenda. Like every so often you'll hear him admit his limitations in his data over dogma. But he does. He does have an agenda. You can't escape bias. You can't escape agenda, even for Dan McClellan. And that means everyone who watches his stuff, you can enjoy it. It's good that he's doing some, biblical scholarship, but you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's not science.
It's an academic
it's scholarship.
Hey, wait a minute. We don't have
and
a
those
bias.
Are not the same
what do you
things.
mean you can't escape bias? Look at us.
Oh, I have a bias.
We have no bias.
Well, see, but see, again, though, here's the thing, though, again, though, this is where I think Dan McClellan is actually doing us a lot more service than we realize.
And that's up for debate. He could be doing us more service than we realize.
Because here's the deal.
Let's hear it.
I agree with you that academics are far too confident about 90% of the crap they say, especially as somebody that loves archaeology. Like, for example, people want to come after the Book of Mormon or else early manuscripts of Jesus Christ, and they will nitpick the details and the hermeneutics and the HMD and the exegesis and the carbon dating of everything having to do with the New Testament, right? Not a peep on the fact that I think it took nearly 2 centuries for the first historian that wrote a complete history of Alexander the Great to put like pen on paper. Yet anywhere that he claimed to go, we just believe. And we'll build a museum and we'll say it's the academic consensus. Like, we will make mountains out of molehills with anything having to do with Jesus. But whether or not Alexander the Great got here first, or whether he even existed and wasn't just a specter of Greek imagination in order to, rally the troops afterwards, right? Like, we do not put under scrutiny things over here that we put under scrutiny over here, and we have to ask the motivation why. And so when you say, me thinks that he's clout chasing, or me thinks whatever, he is thinking exactly like I would argue 90% of the academics are. But the problem is he's just doing it out in the open with a YouTube channel. So you're allowed to bounce your thoughts against his and form opinions and say, hey, wait a second. You say you're data over dogma, but whoa, no. I know more data than you think I do. And I actually think you're being dogmatic. Well, guess what? That's the way 99% of all the academics are, but they just do it behind closed doors. So Dan McClellan's actually, even if your most cynical accusations are true, and here I am being like a Dan McClellan apologist, right? Watch, we have a massive falling out, and afterwards I'm like, this tool, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, like, let's see if I'm saying this 6 months from now, right? But I really do believe that when you have a personal experience with somebody, you can tell a lot about them, right? And it's just like Matthew 5:25 or whatever that scripture is that says, if you have a problem with your brother, go to your brother individually and stuff. I'm really trying to approach it with that ethos, right? So who knows? I allow myself the opportunity to amend my opinions. But I just say that I think you're validated probably in 90% of your frustrations. And I think he is wildly overconfident. Not wildly, I should say overconfident in a lot of things, and lacks the humility that I think true science requires to reach a good consensus, and that the academy has fallen, that the scientific method that gains that consensus has been corrupted and is now subject to the same market influences that ironically social progressives like Dan McClellan are constantly arguing against, that the same capitalism that he hates has unfortunately infected the academy to give whatever results are socially or dogmatically convenient at the time. I think all of that's true. But if worse comes to worse, and all of that is true, at least he's doing it out in the open in a way we can all see, which will then make us question the rest of them. And that true scientific inquiry requires a humility that is subject to peer review that no one in the academia has. So at worst, he would be guilty of being like all of his other cohorts. And there's at least some safety in, what is it? Appeal to authority of numbers.
But that's why you don't trust anyone with a PhD.
No one.
Anyone.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, a couple things though.
Hey, Carden.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah. Okay, we're about to go. We got distracted in a whole entire second podcast about D-Man McClellan. Anyway, keep going. What are we finishing up?
I was just gonna say last thing here, real quick. He's a scholar, not a scientist. Let's make that clarification. But I would love to talk to Dan. I actually reached out to him when I was making the video. I don't have anything against Dan. And I honestly think if he were to watch my video, and you guys can disagree when you watch the video, that he wouldn't disagree with most of what I'm saying. I think he would actually be like, yeah, like my field has certain limitations. Yeah, I could probably use stating those limitations a little bit more frequently. And yeah, that's all fine. I think he would actually agree with most of what I'm saying.
I just want a massage from the guy.
Yeah, hey.
Chick massage therapists.
You should, when you have him on,
they can't get those deltoids.
When you have him on, don't even mention the Bible in any way. Just talk about massage therapy the whole time. It'd be amazing. I'd watch that. Just like, and if he ever strays, be like, "What do you? No, come back. We're talking about massage therapy."
Yeah, just like, bro. So are you into the Swedish method, or are you one of those crazies that gets like those cups out and sucks the air out? You know what I'm
now,
saying?
before I know that we're wrapping up here sometime soon. But I hope that there's a lesson for people here. Whether or not, Dan, we have our opinions on this or that. I think it's good to recognize that we all have temptations to fit in and to chase clout and to be popular, especially when you enter the online space, okay, or on social media. Those pressures are real, okay? But being brave doesn't have meaning if you can't do it when the chips are down. If you can't do it when you're in the online space, then then it means nothing. Then courage means nothing. Oh, I'm going to separate my personal from my public. Well, that's easy. So I am glad that I'm on a podcast where I can testify and I can say the Book of Mormon's true. It's an authentically ancient document. Data. I've written hundreds of pages. I have hundreds of examples of data that show that the Book of Mormon has impossible correlations with ancient documents.
And it becomes an exercise in epistemology, which is the real conversation we need to be having.
I think that's profound.
Is it even possible to completely separate yourself from your beliefs? Because I don't think it is.
No, not completely. And when you act like you're not and adopt phrases like data over dogma, but then behave very dogmatically in a predictable way, then that's where a lot of the frustration does come from.
Brittany, do you agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's let her finish reading the super chats and then we'll jam. So super chats, babe, hit it.
Okay. Leon McBain says Ether's elephant equals young Charles Carroll, looks only.
Charles Carroll?
I don't know who that is.
I looked this up like 5 minutes ago. There you are. Boom. Is that Ether's elephant?
Charles Carroll.
A little bit, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know who that is, so I can't say very well enough. So we'll just move on to the next super chat.
Okay. Ben Eccles says joined February 2020, never got read into the Ward Radio Wigwam.
Oh.
No, that's not true. He joined he joined the 19th of February. Nice try, Ben. Nice try.
Oh, yeah, that's
No
the
W
next
for
super
you.
chat.
Just
Oops, joined 219, not 220.
But we are thrilled to have Brother Ben in the Ward Radio worship. All those who would like to welcome Brother Ben, we've received the records of Brother Ben into the Ward Radio worship. Those who would like to welcome him, put a W in the chat, please.
Okay, we have 6 out of 10 of the super chat. So if you get 4 more in the next 4 minutes before we jam, all of them after that 4th one will be read in the Donald Trump voice by Ether's Elephant.
Wow.
So hit it, babe.
Sweet.
not gonna happen.
Polynike's 2000. John Dehlin stumbled into a PhD at Weber State University and has the energy level of sleepy Joe Biden. He and his ilk aren't sending us their best people.
Oh, brutal.
Sleepy Joe, let's be honest, he's probably sleeping right now.
That's funny.
That's
All
a
right.
solid impression.
Johnny Duarte says tabs are crashing. Are the antis attacking?
Uh-oh.
What's tabs are crashing mean? Oh, did he have multiple
Too many.
bandwidth open?
I don't know.
In Chrome sometimes.
I just read the chats.
Okay.
I don't
Jump on the
interpret
next one.
chats. Jacob Samuelson. This money is for a peace tribute to Dan McClellan. He actually is doing very great work for the atheist community, seeing LDS have a much better claim than other Christians. He deserves a lot more.
It'd be a great episode.
Did you see the article he wrote on one of his first articles was debunking
The grace.
After
all you
the
can
work
do.
after all that you
Yeah,
can
that's
do
good stuff.
and showing bro, see that's the thing and that's why he's a little bit of an enigma.
See, all I'm saying
Because-
is take him with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's fair. A grain of salt is fair. We all
I'm
need
not
a grain
going
of salt.
beyond that. Just grain of salt.
Hey, maybe he's a Trojan horse and he's going to get to the tip top of the Bible scholar of the world, and then he's going to be like, "Shh, Book of Mormon's true, y'all."
I was given my second anointing. I'm a real apostle.
So he's going to lie his way to the top,
And now you're mine.
and then we're going to believe him?
Well, we were just trying to make a
Maybe.
I'm just joking.
You have no
All
imagination.
right, next one. Hit it. Next one.
Fidget the Crazy says, Frogmo is progmo too offensive.
No, Frogmo is on the opposite spectrum of the horseshoe, and it's a joke about the Keck character or the That's Cool Man.
Oh, yeah, the frog. Yeah.
Pepe the Frog
Pepe.
name. So they're called Frogmos. I don't know if Jared Bell invented that phraseology himself, but it's a new one of, I'd say, the past year or 6 months as of
few
late.
months, yeah.
Okay, keep going, babe.
Truth from Earth says, Antichrist playbook, where is the other cheetah?
Where's the other cheetah?
Where's the other cheetah?
I don't know. Is that Antichrist playbook? Where is the other cheetah? I don't know. I don't know what that is. But here's another pub for the Antichrist playbook, a guide for young saints to avoid deception and defeat the devil, with a foreword written by yours truly. You got to check it out and purchase it at plainandpreciouspublishing.com. Wardradioworship.com. And remember to hit up their event March 7th at 7 p.m. If you purchase tickets to the event, you will get a shirt and a copy of the book. So you don't have to show up with a copy of the book. You will receive one at the door, if memory serves me correctly. And you can get all those details in the link in the description of this video or at plainandprecious.com.
Now we have the very last question on John Dehlin's survey to read for everybody. We're unveiling it here, number 14. This is it. And we want to leave you with this. We want you to go home and think about this and lie in your bed on your pillows and think, should I pay John Dehlin hundreds of dollars to life coach me out of my marriage and family? We want you to ponder that question tonight, okay? Question number 14. Do you personally believe that the LDS church leadership intentionally, all caps, withheld this information from you because it was too problematic? If that's not leading the witness of any, like the most leading,
that really is the
Here's
last
the last,
question?
yeah, that's really last
and
question.
that
You
is the
personally-
final. That is
last
the,
question right here. You got to
is the-
read it.
The prestige.
Read it, bro.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Do you-
and a Trump
It's
voice.
Trump? Oh.
Oh, yeah. Trump.
Do
You already read it, though.
believe-
You want me to read it again?
Oh, well, that or the super chat. Which one?
I don't see the super chat in front of me, so.
Okay, then you got to read this one, I guess.
Do you personally, what a great word, personally, believe that the Mormons, the Latter-day Saints, as they're called,
Mr. President. Mr. President.
excuse me,
Oh.
leadership intentionally withheld this information from you because it was
Mr.
too
President?
problematic. That's what they're saying. Problematic. Anyway.
That was good, bro.
Everybody's saying.
That was good. Hey, 6 out of 10 super chats isn't bad. We didn't quite meet our goal, but hey, this has been an amazing live stream. We've all had a ton of fun. Live streams lately have been a blast.
We were
How
gonna
many minutes? Six?
have Donald Trump voice singing. We were gonna sing in our lovely Deseret tune to the lyrics of "Stairway to Heaven" with our shirts off if we got to 10. But no, you couldn't do it. We only got to 6.
My shirt will stay on, but
Okay.
Oh, not you, Brittany. Oh.
Rock on. So Charles, last 3 super chats say Charles Carroll, comedian of $1 Million Extreme. Awesome. Truth from Earth says Q is a Trumpian psyop. It's why he panders to LDS. Okay.
What? Okay.
He's Q?
No, I think a lot of people said Bobby Kennedy was Q for a while, right? Anyway, Rachel Hudson, more S chats, please, meaning more super chats, I believe. And finally, Fog Defense said, it's a referring to how cheetahs hunt their prey. There's one visible cheetah to attract the prey's attention, while a second cheetah sneaks closer.
That's Velociraptor's Fog. Everybody knows that. Clever girl. Come on.
That's a good movement. Okay, cool. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We are deep into overtime. Deep. 45 minutes into overtime. But as we say, it's been real and it's been fun and it's been real fun. For this and more, please make sure you guys check us out at wardradio.com.
I built a rocket in my basement. I'm gonna fly it to the moon. This supersonic is amazing. You're gonna feel my sonic boom. I'm flying higher and I'm never coming down. Look at me now.